of Today with Ari and James. Monday through Friday, 8A to 11A Eastern Time. Your home for all things Big 12.
And away we go on a Tuesday. Happiness is a choice. Thank you for choosing us, along with James Westling. I'm Ari Tepkin. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. You know, sometimes I think when we look and romanticize about college sports, it's like there are aspects of it that you just can't explain. College sports is just different. College sports is just different. What does that mean? What does that really mean? Well, I think if you saw what happened in Morgantown, West Virginia last night, as the West Virginia Mountaineers punched their ticket to the Super Regionals, a Super Regional they will now host against Cal Poly, and you see 4,000 West Virginia fans, all of the players, coaches, are arms locked, swaying back and forth, singing Country Roads. That's what makes college sports great. When we talk about, brands and NIL money and television revenue, the things we're not talking about are these things, the lifeblood of the sport, the lifeblood of college athletics. That we could be talking about West Virginia football, we could be talking about West Virginia basketball, we could talk about West Virginia baseball, whatever it is, the pride, the camaraderie, the sense of community and belonging that elicits, it's unparalleled in sports.
Totally. I had the same takeaway from Texas Tech softball and West Virginia baseball last night, in that those two programs from the Big 12 are killing the narrative that spring sports are boring. Like, I find myself glued to these games. And I would say, without having the official television numbers, we know what the College World Series did last year. Like 3.9 million people took that in, shattered records from any other College World Series when it comes to softball.
And by the way, they'll shatter those records again with a rematch of Texas and Texas
Especially
Tech.
with it being even more ramped up with the recent Texas Tech-Texas football rivalry brewing that is carried over to all sports. But it's killing that narrative that spring sports are boring, that they don't matter, that people would rather watch Major League Baseball or the NBA Finals. I find myself, and I know the finals officially start on Wednesday, but I find myself more excited about watching a 21 or 22-year-old baseball or softball player swing a bat. I would rather watch that than watch a 7'5" alien of a human dunk a basketball.
I kind of want to watch both. Is that okay?
Both things can be true.
But, the other parts of this, and I want to get back to the Morgantown piece in a moment. In the Super Regionals right now, James, when we talked so much at length about how the upsets are gone from the NCAA basketball tournament, and yet here we are in the Super Regionals of baseball, where we think that the SEC just spends all the money and has all the resources and therefore win all the games. Meanwhile, 4-seeded Little Rock and 4-seeded St. John's are just the 11th and 12th regional 4 seeds to ever reach the Super Regionals in the history of the format. St. John's and Little Rock are out of the Super Regionals. Cal Poly is on to the Super Regionals. It's just the second time ever that a number 1 overall seed has failed to make the regional final. UCLA joins Vanderbilt, who fell to Wright State last year. It's the second team ever to fall as the 1 seed without even reaching a regional final. We had the top 2 teams both collapse. Both Georgia Tech and UCLA both lost, which opens up the door for a huge opportunity for the Big 12. But before we get to that, James, just like how much parity we've seen in college baseball right now, where you look at West Virginia, the opportunity they have in their region. Troy is hosting Little Rock in a Super Regional, and they'll take on the winner of West Virginia and Cal Poly in the College World Series.
That was the other one. Troy taking down Florida. Troy is 36-30. But they've got a pitcher that's on an absolute roll.
Heater right now.
They held Florida to just 7 hits. It wasn't even close. They won 10-2. So West Virginia, like Cal Poly's left, Little Rock, and Troy. That's their path to the College World Series. And they just took down Kentucky when really they were backed into a corner. Kentucky's 0-8, by the way, in rubber matches. That's not good. So West Virginia, I think Kansas, their matchup with Oklahoma shapes up very well. They've become the SEC killers with taking down Arkansas already.
Yeah, before we get to the big softball news, I think two big takeaways to your point from last night, and that is, one, how incredible Morgantown was last night, and then two, what this now puts the Big 12 in position to do. The Big 12 went from being hosed in its seeding to now hosting two super regionals with both 1 and 2 seed gone. Kansas is hosting Oklahoma, long-time conference rivals, going back well before the Big 12.
All the way back to the Big 6 before it was the Big 7 and then the Big 8 and then the Big 12.
And then, of course, you've got West Virginia hosting Cal Poly. Not much of a regional tie there between those two programs. But huge opportunity for the Big 12 has presented itself to the Big 12 based on the two that are left. 6 entered, 2 are left, both hosting super regionals. First time ever for both. Of course, it is for Kansas, who never hosted a regional, and it is for West Virginia, who's making its 3rd straight super regional appearance.
And the way these teams are built, the way Steve Saban's recruits, there was a clip that went viral that he didn't mince words when talking about the SEC on a hot mic.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. People have rallied behind that. And SEC has kind of been in their own little bubble when it comes to Texas Tech softball being villainized. I don't think anybody outside of the SEC feels like they're a villain anymore. Like, they've gone from a villain to the most compelling team in sports. Sure, they built their roster. They were irrelevant 2 years ago. They're the new kid on the block. Everybody outside of the SEC is rallying behind that and embracing that. And the same thing could be said for West Virginia and Kentucky. Kentucky, blue blood, SEC baseball. And that environment, that atmosphere, that ballpark sits up on a hill, all the hills and valleys in Morgantown. It's in a really cool spot. And the ending of that extra innings thriller was remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, West Virginia was up, 5-1. Kentucky comes and ties the game 5-5, and Armani Guzman walks it off in the 10th inning for West Virginia. And then, cue Country Roads. Armani Guzman was on the mic, ready to do an interview with ESPN, and he's from the Bronx. And here you hear him choke it up, singing. I mean, that, if somebody ever asks, like, what makes college sports different? Like, this is what you play. These are the feelings, the emotions that elicit the love that we have for college athletics. It's why we listen to the show every day, why we tune in. It's why we love talking about this stuff, because it connects in a way that no other sports possibly can.
Those 4,000 West Virginia fans serenading us with Country Roads sounds like 60,000 people in a football stadium. It is so loud. It is so in your face in the best way. And baseball, what's the difference between like baseball and football and men's basketball right now on the men's side? Like, we know softball and the way NIL is factored into that. But when it comes to baseball, sure, these teams have NIL budgets, but they haven't been gutted by NIL and the transfer portal to the degree that football and men's basketball. And so, hearing that, it's nostalgic. It reminds us of what basketball and football, or football and basketball, used to be 5, 10, 20 years ago. Like, it brings back all those feels, and that's what makes it so awesome.
Yeah, well said. Here's what Steve Saban's, the West Virginia coach, said after the win for West Virginia last night.
That was fun. Couldn't draw it up any better. I think it just, everything that you love about coaching and everything that you love about the players was on full display this weekend. It was cinema. It had literally everything that you could imagine. And if you keep going and you can get through adversity and you can stick together, you can do incredible things. And so it was just truly a beautiful week of baseball, and getting to spend more time with these kids is always the goal. You're trying to stay alive to spend another day with these guys. There's too many individual performances to concentrate. You could obviously ask me about those individuals, but the storylines are insane. I think it's been cemented that this is the best college baseball atmosphere in the country. There's nowhere that can provide the energy that what just happened in Morgantown. The fans were absolutely electric. The place was sold out. There's more and more people going on that hill every time that we play, and we're bringing a super regional to Morgantown for the first time in program history. The goal, since I've been here for 11 years, has been to do things that have never been done in program history, and to be able to do that again this season is certainly special. Just couldn't be more excited for the players and the staff that have dedicated their lives to doing this and dedicated their lives to being part of a team.
You know, when you live in West Virginia or you live in Morgantown, I'm sure in many ways you can feel sort of lost in the infinite abyss that is the United States of America, right? I think what we love about college sports is the idea that in my little corner, my little pocket of the world, 350 million Americans, and in this town, in this community, in this place, we can accomplish anything. We can do anything. That's powerful. When you grew up in Topeka, you went to K-State, same situation. I went to Lord, right? Like, just the idea of, like, we can do the impossible. We can accomplish greatness together, and the world will be watching when we do it. That is what makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up when you hear Country Roads, when you hear Steve Saban say those words.
And there's no doubt in my mind that crowd didn't have a huge, significant impact on the outcome of that game. Like, West Virginia's in control, Kentucky rallies back. Kentucky has all the momentum. They had 5 straight hits with 2 outs in the 8th inning. And this crowd that was celebrating, thinking they're moving on to the supers, were completely stunned at silent. And then you have the grind in the 9th and the 10th. Stranded runners for both teams. Kentucky stranded a run that would have been the go-ahead run in the top of the 9th. They strand 2 more runners in the 10th. Like, that crowd, there's something special about that environment. And then the focus that West Virginia had to have down the stretch in those last, call it 3 innings. Like, every single at-bat, knowing that you've got, it gives me chills. It gives me goosebumps thinking about those guys stepping up to the plate with 4,000 strong behind you. And that's what makes, like, with TV markets and numbers, and it's important to draw in all the major markets across the country in terms of viewership. I get that. But what I love about the Big 12 are the college towns. Morgantown, West Virginia, Stillwater, Oklahoma, Lawrence and Manhattan, Kansas.
Ames, Iowa.
I mean, even Fort Worth has a college town feel to it, the pocket that TCU is. Same thing for Arizona State and Tempe. Like, that's what I think separates this league from a lot of others.
Also last night,
Lubbock, by the way.
Yeah. Celebrations in Lubbock, Texas, because Texas Tech is headed back to the Champ Series to take on Texas, a rematch of last year's Champ Series in the College World Series. Both Texas and Texas Tech needed 2 wins yesterday in order to advance. Tennessee and Alabama just needed 1 win apiece in order to get there, and neither could get it. So it sets up an incredible, improbable rematch. Again, improbable considering both Texas and Texas Tech needed 2 wins last night. They both get them. And, I mean, Mia Williams walked it off in Game 1 for Texas Tech as they defeated Alabama, and then in Game 2, more theatrics for Jerry Glasgow's club. It's been an incredible run, and, yeah, you mentioned it. It was nearly 4 million people that watched the Champ Series last year, and I'm sure there will be an uptick in audience this year because it's even bigger and better this year.
Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, when it comes to softball, the best comp I can come up with, any one of those programs, they are the New York Yankees. Texas Tech, they are the Royals or the Tampa Bay Rays. Let's use them for example. It's as if Elon Musk or whatever billionaire you choose bought the Tampa Bay Rays and said, we're going to be really good at baseball. The lifelong Yankees fans are supporting them and hating that move, but everybody else outside of that Yankee fandom is pulling for the Rays and think it's awesome. That is Texas Tech. Everybody outside of this little SEC pocket loves this team. They're gritty, they're blue-collared, no quit, they're feisty, they're fiery, they're zesty, as the kids say, and they don't back down from anybody. Like, Nyjah threw, 200 pitches? I think they said on the broadcast she had thrown over 200 pitches in like a 24-hour period. Remarkable. She is Iron Woman. Nobody else can do that.
Yeah, in fact, they're very well coached as well. Here's what Jerry Glasgow, Texas Tech coach, said after the game when asked about his exchange in the dugout with Nyjah Kennedy during the game.
She shook off a fastball and threw a changeup, or vice versa. And I just let her know, like, I'm paying a pitching coach a lot of money to call pitches, and if you shake it off, it better work. Like, if you don't, you own it. You take accountability. We're in a close game. I mean, and I hope I said it in a way, but I mean, I don't waste, like, it's kind of shocking to me when the kids talk about I'm a good coach, because I'm hard on them. Like, I'm a hard coach to play for. People don't realize that. They watch a press conference, but, you know, in practice, we got a job to do, and there's a perfect, you're never perfect, but there's a right way to do things. And I want my kids to, and so she shook it off, and we give her that. We give her that privilege, but it was a one-run game, and we give up the lead. When you shake it off in that moment, like, you better be sure you've got the right idea. I remember now what it is. She threw a changeup and it bounced. So then the batter knows on 3-2, we gotta go. We only have one pitch left. That's a fastball. And if we would, you don't want to box yourself in. No big deal. And so right there at the end, she shook it off again and threw her changeup, and it struck him out. And that's why we were all laughing. Like, that's the greatness of Nyjah. You know, I tore her up about it. You know, I mean, I'm getting on her. And she still had the nerve to do it a couple of times in the last game. And I don't mind that at all. But I don't think we ought to shake off 10. If we need to shake off 10 times, I need to get a different pitching coach. If 2 times, then maybe that's a great thing. And you see how she responds. She's pure class. She's extremely intelligent, far more intelligent than her coach. And we want to give her that freedom. We just don't want it. We want to be careful that we don't overuse that freedom. Because in that moment, there's no way a pitcher thinks, if I bounce this, then they know I got to change it. I got to go fastball on 3-2. And let's leave that to the pitching coach.
Yeah, a lot of times you look at this Texas Tech team, and for softball, people are like, oh, they just pay a bunch of money. Well, yeah, I mean, it's really good coaching, too. It's not just an accumulation of talented players.
And he's paying his pitching coach a lot of money, which he said there. They trust each other, and they trust the staff, and they have the depth that they didn't have last year. I cannot wait for this series. Like Nyjah last year against Texas, you know, she ran out of gas in Game 3 because she had thrown. And remember, she was beat up going into the postseason. She threw 686 straight pitches. This year, she doesn't have to do that. They can bring in Caitlin Terry if they need relief. And the bats are also becoming a thing. Like Mia Williams, we knew her pedigree and that she's a slugger. But Jasmine Burns was huge in that doubleheader last night. Taylor Pennell was huge in that doubleheader. They have the lineup to depth. Allred was huge last night, like that they didn't have last year. And I think they're an 11 seed. And they are just bulldozing through the postseason as an 11 seed simply because they didn't have the RPI. They didn't have the quad 1 wins, because their number one most important non-conference series got rained out.
Here's what Jerry Glasgow said about the support for Texas Tech softball right now.
It's just a reflection of the greatness that I've experienced at Texas Tech University. It's just a great university. Everything's fun. Our football team's fun. Our basketball team's fun. Our women's basketball team's fun. Everything I've got to do around that campus, the tailgating is just a great environment. And then everybody in our program, from the janitors to the field crew to the administration to the game day facilities people, everybody gives us full support. And it's just been just a privilege. And then that allows you to concentrate on your team and have them ready for moments like these.
All right, so the College Softball World Series will again feature Texas Tech and Texas in the Champ Series. Should be a lot of fun in Oklahoma City. More on this, plus more on Super Regionals on the way. In fact, do you know this little factoid, James? 3 Trojans in Division I college athletics. There's 3 of them. They are the USC Trojans, Troy, and the University of Arkansas Little Rock.
Don't you say Little Rock.
All 3 Trojans are in the Super Regionals in Division I.
Horse. That's what it is.
James Westling, Ari Tepkin, Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Plenty more to come on baseball and softball. On the way next, though, it was Injunction Day as Brendan Sorsby had his day in court. We'll give you the latest on that and what the updates are there. This is Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.
Slow motion for me. Slow motion for me.
Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Along with James Wesley, I'm Ari Tepkin. We are presented by Modelo. Our Road to Arlington series continues today with the not TCU.
It is TCU.
Yes, TCU.
Right? It's TCU, right, Damon?
It is TCU.
Okay.
Why you wore purple today, yes?
It is, actually.
Maybe a light lavender?
Yeah, it's a lavender.
It's a
TCU's
pinch of lavender.
TCU's anti-lavender. I think it's lavender. I've also learned I'm a little bit colorblind, so I think it's lavender.
Got it.
K-State lavender. We've already done K-State. I missed it. I was sick. It sucked. But TCU, this is the closest thing I had to TCU purple for today.
This is the closest thing I had to a shirt, so I wore it. James Wesley, Ari Tepkin. TCU is our Road to Arlington today, so stay tuned for that at the top of the next hour. Bill Self joins us coming up in about 15 minutes. Bill Self at the spring meetings told me that he thinks Wemby's got a shot to be the greatest of all time. Hear what he has to say about Victor Wembanyama, about his team for the upcoming season, and about last season and maybe where he would take Darren Peterson.
Did he talk specifically about the guys that they brought in?
When I listened back to the interview, I should have asked him more about this upcoming team.
Well, once he gets going about Wemby, you got to let him ride, right? You can't cut him off for that.
It's true.
But so he talks a little bit about this team.
He does say
what's gone wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he does say, I like this team a lot. He says, no, I liked last year's team a lot, too. So we'll see.
And the thing that's been so foreign about KU the last 3 years is why have they struggled so much offensively? Because we've never seen that before.
Right.
Even the Roy Williams teams pre-Bill Self, maybe they had some teams that couldn't defend at a super high level. But I think what's been lost in Bill Self's career is just how dominant his teams have been defensively. He is a defense-first coach. If you don't play defense, you don't play. But maybe they've lost some of their, I don't know if you would call it, scouting, pedigree, talent evaluation on the offensive end of the floor. Because for whatever reason, these last three teams haven't been very good offensively.
Well, and I think, if you're not going to be a high-volume, high-percentage three-point shooting team, you better be efficient in the half court, and that's been the issue. Is they're not a high-volume three-point shooting team, and they're not a very efficient half-court offense. So what do you have when you don't have that? I think for a couple of years we wondered if the offense was a product of the players they had, but last year you wondered why maybe they didn't shoot more threes. And moving forward, I would feel the same way.
And the other thing, offensively, he always had guys that developed on that end of the floor that weren't very good offensively when they got to KU.
Right.
Ochai Agbaji couldn't make a basket his first year. Jalen Wilson was not a scorer until year 3, and then he was a 21-point-per-game guy. Frank Mason had that dog in him, but he couldn't shoot. Teams were sagging off of him his first year in Lawrence. But those guys improved their shot making, their creating, and by the time they were in their second or third year, you couldn't guard them. They were dominant scorers for KU. And so maybe that's where the transfer portal NIL stuff has hurt Kansas, is they don't have those developmental guys on the offensive end of the floor.
All right, he's James Wesley. I'm Ari Tepkin. It's Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Yesterday, Brendan Sorsby's team met, of course, in court to file an injunction, and a judge listened to both arguments from the plaintiff and the defense side. The NCAA laid out their defense as, quote, the NCAA said it would be forced to become the first major American sports league to allow an athlete who bet on their own games to continue to compete. If a district court were to grant quarterback Brendan Sorsby an injunction allowing him to play for Texas Tech this season. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Kessler's ace in the hole here was the case involving former Indiana assistant volleyball coach Brett Agnew. Agnew, according to court filings, placed more than 700 wagers totaling $327,000 during a 5-month period while employed by Indiana. NCAA investigators determined that 27 of those wagers involved Indiana football and men's basketball games. Despite Agnew admitting he knowingly engaged in prohibited sports wagering activity after receiving NCAA gambling education, the NCAA's negotiated resolution stopped short of a lengthy suspension. Instead, he was basically given a 2-year show cause. So the argument on Kessler's behalf is, hey, there's a precedent here, and this is very hypocritical. The argument on the NCAA's behalf is this has never been allowed before in all of sports.
Totally. And I think that Kessler's argument carried a lot of weight. He specifically cited Article 1, Section D, which states that student-athlete well-being is designed to protect their physical and mental health. That is in the NCAA Constitution. That's in their handbook. It's pretty clear that Brendan Sorsby was struggling with addiction and mental health. And Kessler's also claiming that, he suffers from this serious mental health condition, because that's what addiction is, that was influenced by the NCAA and their own relationship with gambling companies, which we touched on yesterday. The NCAA raking in millions and millions of dollars from whatever that company is that they partner with, that they supply all the data for all of their events to these gambling companies to promote the gambling epidemic, if you want to call it that. Like, they can't control BetMGM or DraftKings or whoever being a sponsor of whatever show or whatever television network, but they can control their NCAA sanctioned events. And they are directly benefiting from these gambling companies. That's my biggest problem with this whole thing.
Right, and doing so, as you mentioned yesterday, because they're selling data to the companies.
Making millions and millions of dollars. And the official number is not public, but it's projected to be their number 2 revenue generating product after the NCAA tournament itself.
You know what I think is really interesting, too, and sort of listening to the national discourse on this, is people just can't get away from the idea that he was betting on games in Indiana. And I think, just that and that alone is the reason why most people are saying he shouldn't be able to play. If this injunction is awarded, the firestorm of opinions on Sorsby and Texas Tech is going to be very loud and boisterous, and I'm not even sure Sorsby is quite ready and prepared for it, honestly. If he plays, this injunction is granted, and he plays, the firestorm that would set off, because everybody so far in the media that I've heard is on the side of he shouldn't play. He bet on games. He bet on his own team. He can't play. This is Pete Rose. We can't play. He can't do it. He can't play. We can't play. So that expectation that the media is helping to set, if this thing is ruled in the favor of Sorsby, it is going to be unbearable.
Totally. And Texas Tech is going to have to work really hard, and I'm sure they're already putting a plan in place for if that happens. Because Brendan Sorsby is a kid that is extremely likable. He's charismatic. He's a great kid. He's a hell of a football player. He's also openly admitted that he struggles with depression and anxiety. And nothing he's faced will come close to what he faces once this is over and he steps on a football field on that first Saturday for a true road game. That's Cincinnati, they've openly admitted that he struggles with his confidence. Okay, that was before the depression and anxiety stuff came out. That was a big reason why he struggled down the stretch. He lost his confidence and he was a completely different quarterback. So Texas Tech, how they navigate that part of it, which will be very much behind the scenes, is going to be very challenging. Not saying they can't do it, but it will be challenging. The other thing that kind of swayed me in this whole thing, it's like when somebody commits murder and they plead insanity, right? The amount of bets that he made, the $1 to $2 bets that it started out as, those are nothing. This kid's betting $90,000 in 1 year. He's transferring $60,000 to friends' accounts to bet for him. The magnitude of the activity makes me believe this kid really did have a serious gambling addiction. And I'm in favor of supporting those who struggle with mental health. And Brendan Sorsby, to me, fits that bill.
Don Williams from the Lubbock Avalanche Journal tweeted out yesterday, asked a legal mind who observed the proceedings today at the Brendan Sorsby injunction hearing when a ruling might come down. That person's guess was by next week based on not only the arguments today, but the volume of exhibits the judge was presented to go over.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would take him longer than a week or two, right? And then if he is granted temporary, eligibility, I guess I'll call it for lack of a better term, then how quickly does the NCAA move to get this in front of get it in another courtroom? How does Texas Tech navigate that in terms of delay so that he can play? That's going to be the next kind of chess match between these two sides.
Yeah, well said. It's Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. So it sounds like you and I agree here that an injunction should be granted and then he should be eligible to play?
Yeah, no, like if we're playing You Be the Judge, I was adamantly against him being eligible for any games when this first dropped. I looked at the Hunter Deckers case back in 2023, and then circumstances changed. We learned more about what he was actually going through. He broke company policy, okay? If TuneIn or Big 12 Studios tells us we need to wear pants on this show, we're wearing pants on this show. If we don't, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be suspended. Brendan Sorsby broke company policy that the NCAA has. He, I think, he should suffer some consequences for that, whether that's a 2-game suspension, a 4-game suspension, whatever else. But in terms of the hypocrisy of the NCAA, he absolutely should be able to play at some point this season. And if it is the entire season, I'm here for that too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And especially from the standpoint of not just the hypocrisy of the institution, but I think like the parallel that people are drawing here with Pete Rose and others, like this is totally different. It's a different world in terms of access to sports wagering.
Yes.
In terms of the predatory, how predatory some of these apps can be. And then again, as you mentioned, some of the connections with the NCAA and these data companies, these data mining firms. It's like you're leveraging information to sell better odds to the sports books, and you want me to now buy that Brendan Sorsby's this horrible person?
Right. And Texas Tech, the next layer of this is they will have to work to protect him from the underground gambling community. The guys that are worth millions and billions of dollars trying to sway games and have influence. The Arizona State scandal from the 90s, the FBI scandal with all those college basketball players from a couple of years ago. Like Brendan Sorsby is front and center as an easy target. So that's the next step for Texas Tech. There's still a lot to unfold over the next couple of weeks and over the entire season. And I'm at the point where now, like, I feel for the kid. Like, it also shows an incredible amount of vulnerability. Like, not just did he get caught, if you will, but once he did get caught, it's almost like this has been life-changing for him and probably a really good thing that he'll look back on and be like, man, I was headed down a dark road. What would have happened if I didn't get caught?
Big 12 Radio, Big 12 Today, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. James Wesley, Ari Temkin, Bill Self, the Kansas basketball coach, joins us next. We will hear our interview from the spring meetings. If you missed it, you're not going to want to miss it next. It's Big 12 Today.
Touchdown passes of 41 yards and 39 yards, respectively. This is Emmanuel Henderson who had a 42-yard kickoff return in the first half. Has a seam, he pulls through, and he's off to the races. Emmanuel Henderson opens the second half with a kickoff return touchdown of 93 yards.
Nothing fancy coming up. Watch this little cut that he makes right here. Right there. Guys had an opportunity to get him, and then, like he's a sprinter at the World Championship, showing him the tail line. Look at him stretch it out. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. You finish through the tape, man. You got to get that lean at the tape. Henderson electrifies this crowd here in Lawrence. And watch this. The form. Dip. Get that chest to break the tape at the goal line.
He's going to take a shot for him. He adjusts. He's there. Caught. And into the end zone touchdown. They got Lampley a little spun around. I mean, this little play action. Good job up front. Good
Here with Bill Self, Kansas basketball coach on Big 12 Radio. Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo at the Big 12 spring meetings. How are you, Coach?
I'm good. How's our KU alum doing over here next to me?
I'm great. I mean, softball had a NCAA tournament appearance. Baseball's hosting a regional right outside Allen Fieldhouse.
We've had a good spring. Both the golf teams made the regionals, but the story of our spring is definitely our baseball team. They're killing it.
Have you been out to Hoagland Ballpark?
You know, sad story. I'll be there this weekend.
Awesome.
It's not because I talk to Fitz all the time and everything, but it's been a little bit different for me getting over there this spring. But I can't wait for this weekend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully on to the Super Regionals, and who knows from there.
Yeah.
You going to go to Omaha if KU is there?
Absolutely. I'm going to follow them the rest of the way for sure.
That'd be great. All right, let's talk a little bit about your team. What'd you learn about yourself last year?
I don't know if I learned as much about myself. I've learned how I could do some things better. There's no question. But this era, and it's not an excuse, is fragile because one little thing that doesn't go as planned, if it can totally derail a situation. Whereas in the past, depth can make up for that as much, but you got to have a budget. So with the budget, you can't really afford maybe depth as much because your third or fourth or fifth guy could be somebody else's first guy, and so money-wise, and so it's hard to develop that unless they're homegrown from freshmen and stay in your system. I liked our team last year. I don't think we were ever whole, and it's no fault of anybody. I mean, DP tried his ass off. He just couldn't quite get whole, and everybody else tried hard. And when we were good, we were good. But when we weren't, we took a big dip. And I would say the biggest thing that I probably saw is depth. It's hard to when your A or B guy goes out, are you good enough to still survive with them out? And we did to an extent, but we couldn't do it over time. And I'd say, whatever you do through the portal, you just got to get some depth.
To your credit, though, you talk about things not going your way. How do you pivot? You, at one point, were coaching two different teams.
Yeah.
That's what it's felt like from the outside.
Yeah, but that's all right. I mean, everybody deals with crap all the time. Sometimes dealing with definites is easier than not dealing with indefinites. And that's kind of where we were last year for the large part of the season.
How much have you changed in terms of building a roster? For forever, it was, you were in on the biggest recruits, and then the NIL era comes on board, and you went in on transfer portals and maybe didn't recruit at high a level, but you've now gone back to that, obviously having back-to-back number one players coming in.
I mean, I don't think our recruiting has been off. I mean, we've probably signed, arguably, the best, as good a two high school prospects has been in the country the last couple of years. The thing about it is, in the past, you're able to follow up with another top 10 guy or a top 15 guy or whatever, and it's harder to do now because of, can you pay two top level recruits, where in the past you guys would want to come to school there. So that's a little bit different. So I would say that the portal has been magnified to the point where like we had two unbelievable portal guys last year in Melvin and Trey, but we didn't bat 1,000. Right. And
nobody's going to bat 1,000.
Portal mistakes, though, are more magnified than high school mistakes. So we got to be more consistent in that area.
But it's such an inexact science because you can look and like this guy produced this level and then he might not produce it at KU. And the other way is true too, where like a Dave Mara is a guy that maybe didn't have big time numbers, and then he goes to Michigan.
Oh, and he's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, that can happen, but that's also good scouting and good coaching. There's a lot of things that go into it, but I'm really excited about this next year's roster. But I was excited about last year's roster too. I'll be honest with you. And we had, we were 4 seed, so it wasn't like it was terrible. But the bottom line is, it hasn't been what we have grown to expect, and so I've got to do a better job. We've got to do a better job of evaluating and coaching them after we get them. There's no doubt about that, because in today's time, the way I see it, for us, we're going to be counting on a freshman to be our best player. No question. And best prospect and best player are two different things. But we're counting and banking on him being both. And because I don't think there's any doubt best prospect, but he's got to play to that level. And last year we had it. It's just health didn't allow him to do it. So you could look at it. Well, they made a mistake last year. No, we didn't make a mistake. We just had some bad things happen that was uncontrollable. And, if those things do not happen this year, I think we're right back in the game.
And look, to DP's credit, the best player at the end of the season was Darren Peterson for KU, right? We saw at different times across the year the Kansas basketball team count on Trey White and count on Melvin Council and count on Bryson Tiller.
Lori,
But in the NCAA tournament, in the Big 12 tournament, the NCAA tournament, DP was the guy. Like, he played as well as we expected him to play all year.
He was the guy, but the whole thing is he wasn't that same guy where other people played with him the whole year.
Right.
So it was, even though he was the guy, which was great, but the other players haven't played with the guy.
That's a great point.
There's
a reason that those guys didn't play as well.
Because they just didn't have a chance to grow together. But God, he is a talent. His talent is undeniable to me, and it's just disappointing that we didn't get a chance to see the best version of himself.
I'm assuming GMs of teams picked at the top have reached out?
Oh yeah. People obviously have called, but only the people that's picking at the top.
RC's not calling to ask.
RC is not asking me about DP. That's exactly right.
What do you think? What do you watch? For people that don't know, RC Buford and Bill Self go way back, college roommates, best men. When you watch Victor Wembanyama, what do you think?
I hear he's so much more impressive in person than what television can even do justice to it. If health cooperates, how does he not go down as the best ever? At that size, that skill. Think about his age, and the way he shoots the ball from perimeter, the way he handles. He's going to get stronger. There's just so many things that he does now, and how he can. He could dominate a game and never score a basket.
Right.
Or he could dominate a game and get 40. He can get 15 rebounds just by being out there. And the thing about his blocking and altering, it's amazing how good he is. But when you think of that series, it's amazing how good everybody else is too. The Spurs. Everybody talks about Wemby, which they should, but Harper, Castle, and Vasil,
Vassell or Vassell, Devin Vassell.
God Almighty, how good are those guys? And it's the same thing with Oklahoma City. It's just, these folks are not going away. This could be
the Western Conference Finals for years.
That's exactly.
It will 100% be. Coach Bill Self of the Kansas Jayhawks, you look great. How's your health?
I'm great. I'm great.
I'm sure you're sick and tired of getting that question.
Yeah, but it's a realistic question because of some stuff I've been through. But no, I feel better than I have in a long time, and it's so excited to get started. We start school Monday, so we can definitely have them on the court on Monday. Awesome. So I'm jacked about that because one thing about recruiting now, you're doing it in the portal via tape. You're not going out and seeing the guys in person. Right. You may get a chance to. So I'm jacked to see what we have, because usually you know what you have coming in. You got your returning guy. We just returned two dudes, and it's not like they were prolific players for us this past year. So it'll be exciting to see everybody in the same gym.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Coach Bill Self of the Kansas Jayhawks, one of the legends in college basketball.
Right.
No doubt about it. Joining us here at Spring Meetings, it's Big 12 Radio, Big 12 Today, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
Here comes the TCU pressure. Deal picked off. That will do it. Nandy Obi Izor the rivalry win for the Horned Frogs.
And first and goal, 8 seconds to go. That's knocked up. That's picked off. Obiaisor takes it away for TCU. And they stand at the goal line as the half expires.
Earl under pressure. Sack wrapped up and brought down. Andy Obiaisor, the sack for TCU.
That was Bain, right? That was Bain. Tonight's team. Whoa, big hit. Obiaisor in the backfield.
Lift him up, form tackle, throw him down. My God. That is a tackle if I've ever seen one. Boom. Good Lord.
Side of Lopez. And no running room.
This defense, you keep contained, not fooled at all.
Finish at the end of the year where no one feels like you have to play for.
What do you have inside of you? Pryor on the run, taken outside. Obiaisor spun him down.
If he can correct on a 3rd and 11. He steps up, in some trouble, and he's swung down. Obiaisor with the sack.
Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. James Westling on social at James Westling. I'm Ari Temkin on social at Ari Sports. And it's time now for our road to Arlington. The road to Arlington takes us through Fort Worth, Texas, talking TCU football. We've been breaking down and taking a look at each Big 12 team, working our way from 16 to 1. And here we now are asking the important questions on TCU football. This is where we do a deep dive breakdown presented by Modelo. So let's start, James, with the biggest question mark for TCU.
Yeah, my biggest question mark is just the new offensive system. You know, Sonny Dykes said that the offense isn't going to change much. But Gordon Samus, his offense at UConn and at William & Mary, his last two stops, were very different. And Kendall Briles, he ran the TCU offense for the last 3 seasons. They ranked in the top 10 in total offense one of those seasons. They had the best red zone scoring percentage in the Big 12 2 years ago. The offense hasn't necessarily been bad, is what I'm trying to say. And so this new offensive system with a zone rushing attack, kind of spearheading the schematics of it, it's going to look very different, not just because of the personnel, but because of Samus and his background. So I go just the entire new offense identity that we don't really know what that's going to look like yet.
Yeah, I went with the offense, exclamation point, and not just the new schematics, but new quarterback in Jaden Craig. You've got new wide receiver 1 and Jordan Dwyer, who, remember, missed the Alamo Bowl last year with a foot injury. So how is he in terms of returning from injury? New OC, same Sonny Dykes. All of those things for me are the reason why the offense, exclamation point, is the biggest question mark. Here's what Sonny Dykes told reporters after spring football about why changes were made to the staff.
No, and I think I'm a kind of a process-oriented person. So,
Yeah.
what I hate more than anything is just not reaching potential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that, I don't think our team necessarily reached their potential, and I felt like we lost a couple of games that we probably shouldn't have lost. And so for me, that's the hardest part. And I think that when that happens, you got to take a look in the mirror and you got to go, okay, what can we do better? And so, so we made some staff changes that I think are going to improve our program. I'm excited about what we did and why we did it. It was a process to get there. Tough decisions. We have, I think, some of the very best coaches in college football and strength coaches and guys on our staff. And, and we had to part ways with some of them. And that was a very difficult thing to do. And, and those guys are really, really, really elite at what they do. We just felt like we needed to change or take a different philosophy. And so we made those tough decisions. We did it. It was hard to do. And I think it's going to give us some new life moving forward.
All right, so biggest gamble.
Yeah, my biggest gamble for TCU, and my headline is from Harvard to the Big 12, and that is quarterback Jaden Craig. Sonny Dykes said, we wanted a quarterback that had played a ton of football. Well, Jaden Craig, he checks that box, but he hasn't done it at this level. This ain't the Ivy League. And his first game is going to be in Dublin on national television against Bill Belichick and North Carolina. He's never played in a game with those stakes, and that's even before Big 12 play or anywhere close. And he could have gone to the NFL. Jaden Craig could have been drafted this season. Like, he's got all the tools, but he chose TCU and to play one more year in college because he wanted to show, and his quote is, I want to show that I can look good in front of anybody. Well, he's going to have those opportunities, but he hasn't seen a defense, a pass rush, or one that even comes close to the dudes that are going to be on the other side of that line of scrimmage when we get into Big 12 play.
Yeah, I went with biggest gamble would be hiring Gordon Samus as the offensive coordinator. Samus is a guy that has spent his entire career playing or coaching offensive line. He became the OC for the first time ever at UConn in 2024. And his offenses are built, as you'd expect, from a former offensive lineman from the inside out. Run blocking identity first, zone blocking, as you mentioned, pass protection second, explosive plays are a product of the run game. Dykes has always run the Mike Leach air raid type, tempo-based, pass-first system that attacks vertically and horizontally the stress coverages. Sonny will say that they've always been similar in schematics. I would disagree and say that there are far many elements that are dissimilar, and that's why it's a huge gamble for Sonny and for Gordon Samus.
UConn rushed for 200 yards a game last season. Now, they had a quarterback that didn't turn the ball over. He had the longest stretch of consecutive starts and throws without an interception. He finally threw a pick like week 14. So it is very different from the turnover-worthy plays, from the ground and pound. So how does that gel? Love that pick.
All right, trap game. Looking across their schedule, what's the trap game here?
Yeah, so I like their schedule. I really do. The trap game for me, though, is September 26th at UCF in Orlando for a couple of reasons. Number one, this is only the second time they've ever played each other. 2 years ago, it was in Fort Worth. In 2024, UCF won on a walk-off field goal 35-34. TCU, their 2 games before UCF, are Arkansas State and Grambling State at home. And then their game after UCF is BYU at home. Long road trip to Orlando. It'll be early in the season, so the Knights will still have the fan support depending upon how their season goes. Like, that's a must-win for them. That's a huge trap game for TCU.
For me, it's the Kansas game on Halloween, excuse me. I mean, this is it. TCU is 14-13 in conference play over the last 3 years, and they have some really bad losses in that stretch of time against teams they need to beat. 6-6 Kansas State team at 25 defeats to UCF and Houston at 24. Kansas at home on Halloween fits that exact bill of this is a team you should not overlook and a game you should not overlook. Plus, it's the second of 2 winnable home games with West Virginia and Kansas back-to-back. And it's the final game of October, which begins an insane stretch of football to close out the regular season at Arizona, Kansas State, Utah, and then at Texas Tech. So for me, this is the trap game where you've got 3 winnable games back-to-back-to-back at Baylor, West Virginia, and Kansas. Kansas, the last of those 3 before you start a really rough 4-game stretch. It's the second consecutive home game. Big-time trap spot here for TCU.
Totally agree. Love that pick.
Biggest game.
Yeah, the biggest game for me, and you can look at the rivalry games on their schedule, at Baylor on October 17th, at Texas Tech on Thursday, November 26th, which is going to be that Thanksgiving primetime ESPN 8 Eastern, 7 Central showdown. But for me, I went with a game that's earlier in the season because I see, based off their schedule, a huge opportunity for them to gain momentum. So October 3rd, they get BYU at home in Fort Worth. We know about BYU's pedigree and all their returning starters, a team that went 12-2 last year. But you look at, like, TCU could be undefeated, number one, going into that game. And if you're undefeated by October 3rd when they kick off and you're 4-0, TCU will be ranked. They will be a top 25 team. So this is a massive opportunity at home to really reestablish yourself as, hey, we belong, versus this 9-4 kind of comfort zone that they've been in the last couple of years.
Wrong. The biggest game is the one you just kind of glossed over. It's that, Thanksgiving night game against rival Texas Tech in Lubbock for the last game of the regular season. What are we talking about here?
It's not big if you're 5-6.
Look, TCU's 36 wins since Sonny Dykes arrived lead the Big 12. The Horned Frogs are the only conference member with a win in the college ball playoff. Yet the program is 14-13 the last 3 years in the Big 12. Texas Tech has been the most consistent program, and so TCU's trying to prove itself against the program in the Big 12. This is the biggest game by far on their schedule. It's the last game of the regular season. It's Thanksgiving evening. It's a rivalry game, and it's in Lubbock. Boom.
And I think you nailed it with, since their 2022 Big 12 championship game appearance, run in the college football playoff to the national championship game. Since then, 14-13 in Big 12 play. 9-4 looks okay on paper, but they haven't sniffed a Big 12 championship game since 2022. That 9-4 is very misleading because in Big 12 play, they've been about 500. They're winning their non-conference games. Good is the enemy of great, and they've been good the last couple of years, but can they break through?
All right, so our final question here before we get into the second part of this series is their 3-game swing stretch, which is the most important 3 games they have on their schedule.
Man, so if it's a swing stretch, I hate to go the last 3 games of the regular season, right? Because we're so deep into the season, injuries can play a role in how teams are. So 3-game stretch, I'd probably go starting Saturday, October 17th at Baylor. Huge rivalry game, McLean Stadium, Waco, Texas, Dave Aranda, hot seat. Nobody's seat is hotter in the league. That's a must-win for Baylor. And then they have back-to-back home games after that are must-win games if you're going to be a Big 12 title contender. And again, that's the benchmark that I have for them. West Virginia at home and Kansas at home after that, which you had as a trap game, which also that comes off of West Virginia is a homecoming game. Like, it's going to be loud, rowdy. There's sometimes a little bit of a letdown after that homecoming Saturday. So those 3, I think you've got to go 3-0 during that stretch.
Yeah, I think it's the last 3 games, which are Kansas State on November 14th at home, Utah at home on November 21st, and then at Texas Tech on Thanksgiving. They have 5 days rest after Utah to get to Texas Tech. 8 wins is not good enough for this program. You mentioned it. Like, this is a program that at this point is competing for a Big 12 championship in the road to Arlington. So for TCU to have a shot at the road to Arlington, this final 3-game stretch will decide it. They've got plenty of opportunities for wins on their schedule to get to Arlington. They'll need to win at least 2 of these last 3. TCU has not won the Big 12 since 2014 and has yet to claim an outright title. Kansas State at home on November 14th. That'll likely be a game with Big 12 title implications for both. Utah at home the following week, same. And then 2 physically punishing teams with Utah and Texas Tech back-to-back. So you win all 3, and you're destined for Arlington. You win 2 of 3, I think you've got a good shot. You win 1 of 3, and you got no shot.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. Some of the other question marks that I had was the offensive line. Like, I know they had 2 guys ranked in our top 5 offensive linemen, but outside of that, they're very new. They lost 13 starters from that Alamo Bowl team. 13 starters, not 13 guys to the portal, 13 starters to either the draft, portal, or graduation. So that's another area. And then remember when we were doing our NFL Combine series, we're looking at the linebackers at TCU, and we're like, dang, like they had some dudes. Well, those dudes are all gone. Highlighted by Caleb Elarms Orr, who that's always a tongue twister for me. Caleb Elarms Orr, the linebacker that had blazing speed. I think he with that speed, made up for a lot of other mistakes that TCU maybe had on the defensive line or at the linebacker position, and why he had so many tackles. So I've got big questions about the linebacker depth as well with those guys gone.
Yeah, great point about the offensive line and the linebacking depth, although I do think that the players they bring back and their defensive line will help to offset that. And then, yeah, I mean, I mentioned this with questions. Jordan Dwyer had a foot injury that he suffered that had him miss the Alamo Bowl. So how has he come back? Because without Eric McAllister and Jaden Craig coming in with the new offense, like, they've got options at wide receiver, but who's the number 1 guy? Dwyer was supposed to be that, and he showed signs of that, but can he do that, and especially if he's not fully healthy?
And their slot guy, Ed Small, I think it is, he's not built to be their number 1 guy. He's not built like an Eric McAllister or a Jack Besh. Like,
right.
He's a smaller, twitchier slot receiver. He's really good at being a slot receiver.
He sort of depends on a legitimate X wideout.
You've got to have a big, gritty possession type receiver. That's what Jordan Dwyer is. So I'm with you on just his importance. And I'm just fascinated by how this Jaden Craig experiment's going to go. Because I cannot remember an FCS quarterback with this much prestige that would have been an NFL draft pick transferring up. Like, Trinidad Chambliss was a great story, but he wasn't on anybody's NFL radar. There wasn't this much hype about him before he got to Ole Miss. Craig's in a totally different boat because he was an Ivy League FCS All-American, and now he's on the big boy stage.
Yeah, I mean, he spent 4 years at Harvard, set the career record for touchdown passes at 52 and passing yards at Harvard with 6,000 yards. And he only had 12 interceptions across 714 career passing attempts. So 52 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So, I mean, big-time quarterback who needs to now prove it at this level.
This would be like Trey Lance or Carson Wentz from North Dakota State spending their last year of college in the Big 12 at a Texas Tech or at a Baylor or a TCU. Like, you just don't see this. And that thought seems so foreign to us. Those guys were really good at the FCS level. Lance, it didn't translate. Wentz, maybe a little bit, had a long career. So this is a really fascinating experiment just to see how this works. And he's got the arm strength, he's got the IQ, he does not turn the ball over. But I don't know that I buy Sonny Dykes saying the offense isn't going to be much different. Like, sure, there's going to be some Dykes principles, but if it's not going to be that much different, why did you hire Gordon Samus to come in and completely overhaul it?
Right. Great point. All right, more on the road to Arlington, TCU next, plus Jeremy Clark from Horned Frog Blitz, all on the way. With James Westling, I'm Ari Tepkin. This is our Road to Arlington series centered on TCU. We are presented by Modelo. Cheers to all you Modelo full-time fans, because the offseason doesn't mean off. It means research. It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio.
How did he get that off? How does McAllister stay up and keep cruising? Unreal! Hoover, McAllister, can you believe it? 2nd and 5, pressure up the gut, looking for and finding a Paradise. It's McAllister, picking him up, putting him down, touchdown, TCU. 205-pound transfer from Boise State has been chopping at the bit to make a play. He goes on the go route, a perfect back shoulder, and the rest is all him. He is striking out down the sideline for a touchdown.
Time for Hoover, delivers a strike. McAllister, off and running. Eric McAllister for the TCU touchdown.
In football, Yoshiva's going to get it to Eric McAllister on a 5-yard slant. But Jalen Davis Robinson, number 11, or number 13, and Jaden Milner-Jones, number 11, both missed tackle.
McAllister, look out! Eric McAllister, touchdown TCU, 85 touchdown reception this year for McAllister, who's missed some games recently.
What a response. I mean, he just runs right past him. And a perfect throw by Hoover.
Big 12 Radio presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. This is the Road to Arlington TCU. It's our deep dive series, taking a look at every aspect of each Big 12 team, taking a deep dive, answering major questions. We've already asked the biggest question marks, the biggest gamble, the trap game, the biggest game, and the 3-game swing stretch for TCU this upcoming season. James Westling, who's the one player they can't lose?
Man, when I look at TCU, they have been a wide receiver factory, dating back to a first-round draft pick after the 2022 national championship run.
Quentin Johnston.
Thank you. Jack Besh a couple of years later. This year it was Eric McAllister. Now that McAllister's gone, it's got to be Jordan Dwyer. He's their possession receiver. 72 catches, 1,200 yards, and 10 touchdowns gone from Eric McAllister. He had some big games. He had 9 catches, like 140 yards in his debut. But to your point, and you mentioned this last segment, he missed the Alamo Bowl with a nagging foot injury. He finishes the season with 4 touchdowns in the final 4 games that he played, so he was rolling, but that injury is a concern. In a new offense, Jaden Craig is going to need a number 1 guy. And outside of Jordan Dwyer, I don't see any number 1 like possession type receivers. Craig also had a receiver that caught almost 100 balls at Harvard last year. So Jordan Dwyer for me is the number 1 guy they cannot lose. The big-bodied wide receiver who will be in year 2 at TCU.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of options here. You could have gone Jordan Dwyer. You could have gone Zach Chapman, the defensive end. You could have gone Jeremy Payne, the running back. But I went with safety Jamel Johnson. Johnson led the Big 12 with 5 interceptions in 2025, finished as TCU's second leading tackler with 96. And even though, again, there are probably a few other guys you could consider, Jaden Craig also, to me, he's the most irreplaceable because you've already lost 2 really impactful defensive players in Bud Clark and Caleb Elarms Orr. So without the ability to replace those 2 beyond Jamel Johnson, what do you have without Johnson? And then on top of that, Andy Avalos' 4-2-5 scheme needs a safety like Johnson to kind of do everything, right? Be that hybrid linebacker safety where you can support the run, drop into coverage, create turnovers, and quarterback the back end. Johnson has done it, has proven he can do it at TCU. And with so much questions around the offense, this is expected to be a huge year for TCU's defense. And I think it starts with Jamel Johnson, the most important player on their defense.
That's another position like safety, defensive back, where they've been a factory sending guys off to the NFL.
All right, what is the hidden strength?
So the hidden strength for me are the running backs, that running back room. Gordon Samus, his UConn team last year, rushed for almost 200 yards a game. They were top 10 in the country. Very conservative when it came to the passing game. Their quarterback didn't throw more than just a couple of interceptions. TCU hasn't been able to run the ball in the last 3 years. That's going to have to change, number 1, and I think it's about to, because of Jeremy Payne, who you just noted, ended last season as TCU's leading rusher, almost 6 yards per carry, which is a stat that really stands out to me. Over 600 yards. He's also dangerous as a pass catcher. He had over 200 receiving yards, and he did that last year in a backfield that was by committee. There wasn't really a primary back. When he finally did get his chance, he had 218 all-purpose yards against Cincinnati, most by any TCU back since LaDainian Tomlinson in 2003. Won the Alamo Bowl in overtime on that 3rd and 20. He caught that little check-down pass and ripped off 35 yards, weaving his way through traffic to the end zone. And he's not the only one. They also have a freshman last year who averaged over 5 yards per carry, and John Denman. He was like their 4th back last year. So with the 2 offensive linemen coming back that we both think are top 5 offensive linemen in this league, that running back emphasis that Gordon Samus brings to the table from UConn, I love that room.
Yeah, for me, it's the defensive line. While they lose some really impactful linebackers, the defensive line returns basically everybody. Starts with Zach Chapman, who is the anchor. He had 3 sacks and 24 tackles as a redshirt freshman in 2024. Then followed that in 25 last year with 28 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks and a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. So he was all over the field. Plus Paul Oyewale, the defensive end from Houston. Ansel Din Mbwa from Aledo, Marcus Deal, Chad Woodfork is a redshirt freshman, and then they add Karan Hayward and Cheetah O'Philly from Texas Tech. So I think their defensive line, and maybe even in particular their front seven, is going to be a huge strength for this team. But you wouldn't expect it because, again, they lose Caleb Elarms or they lose hugely impactful defensive players, but yet they return everybody along their defensive line. I like what they have at linebacker. I think this is a huge year for Andy Avalos and his 4-2-5 defense. I think TCU defensively could be one of the best defenses in the Big 12, and I think their defensive line is a big reason for it.
They return all 4 defensive linemen. Like they're top 4 defensive linemen. They lose all that linebacker depth, but that's a position that stood out when we were ranking our top 5 players. They actually, TCU has 8 returning starters on offense and 8 returning starters on defense. Most in the league. 16 returning starters. So that retention rate is real in Fort Worth.
All right, what is the number?
Well, it's the number that everybody's talked about this offseason, including head coach Sonny Dykes. The number is 42. Josh Hoover, the former TCU quarterback, turned the ball over 42 times in his 31 starts. That's the number that Dykes has put on record. That's the number that defines what he has left behind and what Jaden Craig and Gordon Samus, the quarterback offensive coordinator combo, has been brought in to fix. And Sonny Dykes has been very outspoken about they went 9-4 instead of 11-2 or whatever they could have potentially gone because of the turnovers. He believes that's the separator between good and great or even elite. They reduce that number, and if they reduce it significantly, all of a sudden TCU's outlook looks very different.
Yeah, I think you were almost 100% there, but the number that everybody's talking about in this offseason is 3.9, which was good 96th nationally for yards per carry in 2025. 3.9 yards per carry for TCU in 2025, 96th nationally. This is the reason that Sonny Dykes moved on from Kendall Briles. This is the reason that Gordon Samus was hired. It was not just a volume issue. It wasn't just that they weren't running the ball enough. They were not running the ball effectively and efficiently enough. In 2023, TCU ranked 10th in the Big 12 in rushing yards per game at 154.5 and 10th in yards per carry at 4.6. In 2024 and 2025, it's become a huge liability. I'll never forget Sonny Dykes coming to Big 12 Media Days and saying, hey, it's not rocket science. The team that runs the football most effectively is the team that wins the Big 12. And they went and ran the ball almost as effectively as anybody in 2023 that season. But they have fallen back in 24 and 25. They have a much larger emphasis on running the football this year, and I think that number should be dramatically increased. And it needs to be. That number needs to be north of 5.4 per carry for TCU to be anything close to what it thinks it could be this year.
And I think they'll get there. Like with that running back room, with the offensive line. Yesterday we did Iowa State on our road to Arlington, and we had a lot of discrepancies because Iowa State has a brand new team. Today we have a ton of discrepancies because there's a lot of little things that has kept TCU stuck kind of in this middle tier of barely above 500 the last 3 games, where if they fix 1 or 2, they don't have to fix all of these. If they fix 1 or 2, all of a sudden they're a Big 12 title contender.
The pressure point.
Man, even though he just got a big, massive contract extension, for me it is head coach Sonny Dykes. And the big question is good, not great, but good enough? Because that's what TCU's been the last 2 years. He's 36-17, but 13 of those 36 wins came in year 1. Even in these last 2 9-4 seasons, TCU was not a serious contender in the month of November for a Big 12 championship game. He's not coaching for his job yet, but if he's coaching for his legacy, 9-4 isn't good enough. And with all the returners they have coming back, there's no reason why this year can't be a breakthrough year.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question here. And you could certainly make the case for Jaden Craig, but for me, the pressure is all on Sonny Dykes. You know, you've made a huge change from an offensive coordinator and an offensive schematic standpoint. You have a completely rebuilt offensive roster. It's got to work. And I think you're right. Like, he's not going to lose his job if they win 8 games this year, but there are much higher raised expectations, and he's got to meet those expectations. This program is 14-13 at conference play over the last 3 years. That is not good enough. At the level that TCU is recruiting, at the level that they're spending, 14-13 in conference play over the last 3 years is not good enough. So The turnover problem has been an issue. They think they've solved that through schematics. They've not run the football very effectively. They think they've solved that through schematics. Well, Sonny Dykes is at the tip of the spear there when it comes to this conversation, and it's why he is, without a doubt, under the gun from a pressure point standpoint heading into this season. All right, so what does success look like for TCU?
Man, I would say, and I've got to remember the exact number that I sent Anthony because I'm not so sure that 9 wins is good enough. So I said 9+ wins, which to me, 9 wins and it's another good season, but it's not great. The can TCU breakthrough chatter ramps up even more next year. It's time to break through. So for me, it's 9+ wins, and I'm thinking 10. 10-2, Big 12 championship conversation. That would be a successful season for me. Even 9-3 in the regular season, because remember, they won their bowl game. So they were 8-4 in the regular season going into that bowl game. So 9 regular season wins is the benchmark that I have to go 9-3 in their 12-game slate.
Why stop at 9? I've got 10 wins in a Big 12 championship appearance as what success looks like for TCU this year. Get ready for the Triple J. Jaden Craig, Jordan Dwyer, Jeremy Payne. JJJ. That's what this season is all about, those 3 guys. And look, this is not a rebuilding year. We've done so many of these focused on teams rebuilding. This is a reloaded year where they have a ton back on defense, and they have a lot of talent on offense, starting again with quarterback Jaden Craig, with wide receiver Jordan Dwyer, and with running back Jeremy Payne. And I think the schedule is also extremely manageable. I mean, North Carolina, Grambling, and Arkansas State are 3 winnable non-conference games. Your road games in conference are UCF, Baylor, Arizona, and Texas Tech. 3 of those 4 are very winnable. Your home games are BYU, West Virginia, Kansas, K-State, and Utah. Very winnable games there. So, again, I think they've got more home games. Their schedule opens up. Like, 10 wins to me is easy, and getting to a Big 12 championship is what success would look like.
And they've been recruiting at a level that they should be better than 9 wins or 8 wins in the regular season.
Or 14-13 in the Big 12.
They have been recruiting at the high school level so far in the last 5 years better than anybody else in the Big 12.
Yes.
And that includes Texas Tech. Now, Texas Tech is on a heater, but like consecutive top 25 recruiting classes, high school ranks, stacked 3 or 4 years in a row, it's time to be in that conversation for a Big 12 title.
All right, why TCU will win the Big 12, James?
Well, everything we've been talking about sticks. Jaden Craig fixes the turnover issues. They get the ground game going. I love the number that you threw out there of 5.4 yards per carry, which would be a significant upgrade. And then I would say they stay healthy on the offensive line because they've got those 2 studs, those 2 anchors at the tackle positions. They don't have a ton of depth. Jordan Dwyer stays healthy, continues that long lineage of NFL-ready wide receivers. Defensively, I don't have a ton of concerns. I know we talked about the linebackers, but that defensive line, they stay healthy. They do their part. I think TCU could very well be a 10-win team.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the path to Arlington starts with a very manageable schedule. I mean, they don't play 2 road games consecutively. 7 of their first 8 games are against teams that didn't go to a bowl game last year. The Frogs miss Arizona State, Houston, and then, of course, they do have BYU and Utah, but both of those teams come to Fort Worth. Yeah, I think Craig arrives at a really big spot. I mean, it feels like the perfect quarterback for the needs of TCU right now, where you don't want a quarterback that turns the ball over a ton. Craig arrives with, the most career touchdown passes in the history of Harvard football at 52, and only 12 interceptions go along with that. So, and then the experience on defense. Jamal Johnson returning as the Big 12's interception leader, added to a group that returns a bunch of starters, especially all of them along with the defensive line. Like, most of these, the case for the Big 12 championship, the case of the road to Arlington, have kind of been like, you can make the case, but lots of things have to go right for this to happen. I think for TCU, this is one of those where it's like, they should be very much on the road to Arlington this year. TCU, to me, is the most underrated, legitimate Big 12 title contender. All right, why won't they win the Big 12?
Well, I'll start with week 0, Saturday, August 29th against North Carolina in Dublin, Ireland. That game is always super sloppy. It's a mess. I don't know that favors TCU schematically and just how those muddy games play out. I'm not sure they can win that way, so I'm nervous about it. So I would say they don't if they lose that game, because that could send them spiraling. I know they've got Grambling State and Arkansas State, but then that puts way more pressure on the UCF game to open Big 12 play, which is on the road. After that, you've got BYU. You could very well be looking at a 2-3 record before your first bye on October 10th. The narrative is very different than if you're 4-1 or even 5-0 going into that bye week. So I start there. Also, where has Jordan Hudson been? Has Bill Belichick finally kind of muzzled that whole thing? Did they break up? Like, where's the Belichick drama this offseason?
Don't you mean Jordan?
Jordan. Pardon my French.
I was thinking of somebody completely different when he said it. Who's Jordan Hudson? Am I supposed to know who that person is?
Has North Carolina maybe figured things out that they shouldn't be all over every viral social media post on the planet about all the drama behind the scenes?
You mean Bill Belichick has changed some things about the way his
That's a huge
girlfriend is acting? I don't know if you know this, by the way. There's like a 50-year difference between the two of them.
Is there?
Yeah.
God, they don't look like it. That's the thing that stands out to me is I would never know if you hadn't shared that with me.
It's true. They look just like the most natural, lovely couple you'll ever see. For me, the case against the Big 12, TCU winning the Big 12 or getting to the road to Arlington would be, so much of this depends on Jaden Craig, and he's making the FCS to Big 12 jump here. So, that's a significant question. We can't just gloss that over, right? I think he can do it, and certainly they have the pieces on offense for him to be helped by that, but he's got to do it. Also, not just Jaden Craig, but Gordon Samus is new. They've been hitching their wagon to the Kendall Briles offense, and so now with a brand new starter and a brand new offense, it's got to work immediately, and that's a huge question mark when you're thinking about BYU, who returns their quarterback and offensive coordinator and the leading rusher in the Big 12. It's a lot when you think about what Texas Tech brings back and the talent that they have. So, and Utah as well. So it just feels like a lot for a team that doesn't bring back enough at the most important spots, which would be quarterback and offensive coordinator. So I think the case against is fairly strong, despite the case that I made for TCU to be in the Big 12 championship, which I think is also fairly strong.
So Jaden Craig opens up the season. Dublin, Ireland against North Carolina, coached by Bill Belichick. Week 1 last year, he opened the season against Stetson, the Stetson Hatters, and then Brown, and then Holy Cross, and then Cornell, and then Merrimack, Princeton, Dartmouth. To your point, this isn't even like a South Dakota State or a North Dakota State schedule. This is a totally different animal. Harvard went 8-2 in the Ivy League. The Ivy League has produced some NFL players, but Craig hasn't seen anything close to what he's going to see in terms of the bodies, the strength, the speed, and everything else that he'll see on every single Saturday in Big 12 play.
It's Big 12 today, Big 12 radio. That's the road to Arlington, TCU. We visit now with Jeremy Clark from Horned Frog Blitz. Get his take on the road to Arlington, TCU. That's next as we continue our Road to Arlington series with James Wesley. I'm Ari Tepkin. It's Big 12 today, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.
Introduces himself to Scotty Fox in the backfield.
Horned Frog show pressure. Kevin Jennings retreating. Bottles up and now goes down to the 5.
Level the red zone. And down he goes. How about those active ends and linebackers, huh? Caleb, the alarms are all over the place. This kid can play. Senior from Hayward, California. Option to the wide side counters. Great play. Alarms are again. That young man has just been outstanding all day.
Nominee, here's Sama. And not much out there. They had the edge sealed. He's swung down by Alarms Orr.
Down behind the line of scrimmage.
Hard in the running back. Coming in from Westwood after 3 seasons, Alarms Orr. The tackle behind the line, the TFL.
Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. This is our Road to Arlington series featuring TCU. James and I both just took a deep dive into TCU football. Let's break it all down now with Jeremy Clark from Horned Frog Blitz, who does a great job in covering TCU football. Here on the Road to Arlington TCU, presented by Modelo. Jeremy, how are you?
Doing great, fellas. How are you guys?
Doing very well, thank you. One of the quote-unquote disagreements James and I had would be on the number, where we identify kind of an important and impactful number for this team. So these are both important. I'm curious for which one you think is most important, the number 42 or 3.9. 42 would be turnovers from last year. 3.9 would be the amounts of yards per carry last year, which was 96th in the country. Which is more important for success this year?
I think it starts with turnovers. I mean, the number one name of the game to get wins in college football is eliminating turnovers. I think with possessions becoming such a premium nowadays in college football, you can't be turning the ball over. So those turnover numbers have to go down. And there were some games last year, and actually the last 2 years, where TCU was very close in some of those games that a turnover here or there cost them. And I think they're going to improve the run game average. But yeah, turnovers is the big key for them.
Yeah, and with that, in the hiring of Gordon Samus to run the offense, Sonny Dykes has said that the offense isn't going to change much and that we might not notice all the changes. But I don't know that we buy that with Gordon Samus, because his UConn offenses, his William & Mary offenses before that look very different from what TCU's run over the last 3 years. So what's your take on that stance?
Sonny's playing a little poker with you guys. I think man, I've been around the team for 21 years, and just really the last few years when they had Kendall Browse, and even years before that when Sonny Cumbie and some of those other guys were around, Garrett Riley, this offense looks completely different. It's more of a wide zone offense, running to the outside. They have really athletic tackles. They have athletic running backs that can get to the outside. A lot of under center stuff. And one of the things that Samus looks at is keeping control of the football and taking care of it. If you look at Connecticut's number last year with turnovers, they had 2. That's almost unbelievably unheard of, to go an entire season as a team with only 2 turnovers. And so that's really important for him. But you're going to see some things that we haven't seen with TCU football, maybe going all the way back to the days of Justin Fuente when he was the offensive coordinator before he went on to Memphis, and then of course up to Virginia Tech. But it's not RPO, it's more pro style based, and they're going to utilize the tight end and kind of take advantage of those limited possessions. It's going to be an offense that can run up tempo, but I don't think we're going to see a lot of that.
Jordan Dwyer, we know he had the foot injury last year. How is he doing? Has he been full go this offseason?
He didn't go as a full go in spring camp just because they know what he can do. When you're around the program, and you were a productive player in the previous season, there's really no reason to go out there in spring camp and get yourself injured. But he did a lot of the Indy stuff, looked great running routes, looked fluid, looked as fast as he did last year, but they weren't going to get him involved in any of the one-on-one stuff and team emphasis, anything like that can get him in harm's way. But yeah, he'll be ready to go.
Jeremy, how do the TCU fans feel about Sonny Dykes getting that extension? I know 9-4 looks good on paper. It's not great, and that's kind of the next step for TCU since 2022. But what's the pulse from the fan base?
It's mixed. I mean, you have some fans that think 9 wins is a really good number. When you look at playing college football this day, especially with the way NIL has kind of closed the gap a little bit with some of these programs, winning a college football game is very hard to do. And so for them to go out and get 9 wins in the 2 past seasons, pretty good thing. 18 wins, playing in the Big 12. When you look at the flip side, the other fans are saying, well, we haven't played in contention for the Big 12 title since 2022. By the time November rolls around, TCU's pretty much out of it. So I think it's hit or miss. I mean, fans these days, whether it's a TCU fan, whether you're a Texas fan, Texas Tech, or anyone in the nation, I've always told people this with the way the rev share and NIL has come into play. It's win and win now. And if you're not winning now, your coach is going to be on the hot seat. And I think that's kind of what TCU fans are looking at. They obviously appreciate the 2022 season, playing in the national championship when no one expected it. But then you had a 5-win season in 23, and then you go 9-4, 9-4. But like I said earlier in the show, there were some games that were very close that just slipped away in the end, and that's kind of been Sonny Dykes' MO pretty much wherever he's gone. They've played close games and just couldn't seem to finish it like they were doing in 2022. So it's a mixed bag of feelings for that extension, but I like it. I think Sonny Dykes has done a great job. I think he's given what he has, and he develops talent. They've got some guys that I think NFL teams are looking at some more. They've built a roster off retainment. They're not going out and getting a ton of guys from the transfer portal. Guys are wanting to stay at TCU, and I think that's a testament to the coaching staff and the job they've done of keeping those players.
Who do you think has a better season this year, Josh Hoover or Jaden Craig?
Man, you guys are throwing some fastballs. Don't clip this and make me viral for this, but I think Josh was a great quarterback. I think Josh did a lot of great things for TCU. Obviously, the turnovers were something that were discussed. There were some games where he had some mishaps late in the game that cost TCU a game, and I'm not going to lay that all on Josh's shoulders, but there was a lot of times where it felt like if he would have just made a better decision, it wouldn't have turned out the way it did. But Jaden Craig, we're anxious to see what he looks like. He's been at the FCS level the last few years, playing at Harvard. He set records last year at Harvard. But I would tell you this, based on kind of what I've seen from the two quarterbacks, Jaden's not quite as accurate. He can get the ball out just as fast as Josh. He's got good arm strength. He is more athletic than Josh. Jaden is a kid that can run the football. He doesn't really utilize his legs. It didn't really utilize his legs as much at Harvard because they didn't want him to get injured. They really didn't have anyone behind him. So I think we'll see the TCU quarterback running a little bit more, maybe asking him to run 4 or 5 times in a game. They really couldn't ask Josh to do that last year because he wasn't really a runner. He's athletic enough, but we were kind of all surprised, every media member that covered him. And actually some of the people around the program were kind of surprised that Josh didn't utilize some of his run game that he had ahead of him, before him, when he had those opportunities. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I can't tell you who's going to have a better year right now. It's still summer, guys.
Jeremy Clark is the publisher for HornedFrogBlitz.com on the 24/7 Sports Network, and the Big 12 is no stranger to drama, like with what's happening in the College World Series of softball, West Virginia baseball. TCU football, like we get the sense that there was some drama. You've got like the backup quarterback going on podcasts, shots fired at Hoover, and shots fired from Cignetti over the last couple of months. So just how much turmoil was there, or tension maybe behind the scenes with last year's team?
I don't think there was a lot of tension with the team basically until December, because you kind of had a situation where I started to hear some things behind the scenes that, hey, Josh is going to be leaving. And none of it was really coming to the forefront. It was just all rumor-based at the time. But then the rumor started to get a little bit more smoke, and eventually there was fire going all around the program. I think there was, not to speak, for Josh or for Sonny Dykes, but obviously there was meetings between the two, and they discussed Josh coming back. I know TCU made an extremely competitive offer for Josh to stay at TCU. It wasn't like Indiana came in and just gave more money to Josh Hoover than what TCU was going to do. TCU did put forth their best effort in keeping him and paying him, good compensation. But in the end, Josh felt like he needed a fresh start. There was obviously a lot of fans going after Josh for his mistakes, and sometimes it just takes a player to get a start somewhere else. And what better place to go than the defending national champion, where he was committed to out of school. Now, obviously, it's a completely different staff at Indiana from the staff that recruited him, but he's going to have a fresh start, and we'll see how it goes. But Ken Sills, man, I've known Ken Sills. He's a family friend, known him since he was in 4th grade. So it was really exciting for me on a personal level to see him go out there and play the way he did. But he joked around. He said, man, I wasn't even prepared for the game until Josh told me he was leaving, and I had to get ready in 2 weeks. But it was really cool to see him kind of ride off into the sunset. And Sonny had made a joke about it, saying he'll never have to buy a drink in Fort Worth again. And Ken's just a phenomenal kid, phenomenal family, and it was great to see something good happen for him at the end of his career.
Yeah, well said. Last thing for me, and that is on the defensive side. I think there's a lot of reason for optimism for this team based on defense, which some we have not seen since that 2022 team. Can you just shed some light on your thoughts on what this defense could look like?
Yeah, I mean, first off, you got to replace 3 NFL guys: Caleb, Namdi, and Bud Clark. Obviously, Bud was one of the best safeties in the nation, but I really like what this defense showed me in spring camp. It's year 3 of Andy Avalos' system. And when you watch teams and you watch players, when they know what they are doing, they just play faster. And that's what I really saw in spring camp. They're a big team. They got some athleticism at several key positions. The defensive line, this was something very big for Sonny Dykes and his staff to retain those defensive linemen. They were able to keep Marcus Steele. They were able to keep Ansel Bua. They were able to keep Jack Chapman. And if you have a good defensive line in this defense, Andy Avalos' defense, you're going to be successful. And one thing I told Sonny, what was funny about this spring is, since he's been here, I haven't really noticed so many position battles. And it was at linebacker, it was at cornerback, it was at safety. And he told me, this is the deepest team I've had since I've been here. So, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So that's something that gives me optimism for the defense. I really feel like this defense can be an upper tier defense in the Big 12, kind of playing in that top 5 to 6 level, if not higher. But they've got a lot of key pieces. Jamel Johnson coming back, I think, is going to be one of the top safeties in the Big 12. Obviously mentioned Marcus Steele. I think he has potential to be a very, very good defensive lineman in the league. 6'5", 315 pounds. Is a gap plugger. I mean, he just does a really well job of helping defend the run. But if they can get some answers at linebacker and get some help for losing Bud Clark at safety, they're going to be really good defensively.
Yeah, and they actually have a ton of returning starters or guys that have starting experience, really on both sides of the ball. So we also break down what success looks like for TCU. We put a number on their season. We think at least 9 wins in the regular season. That doesn't include the bowl game, maybe even 10. What do you think, Jeremy, success looks like?
I think it's around that same number, 9 or 10 wins, minus the bowl game. I think people are ready to see the next step. 9 wins is great, but if you really want to see if your program's climbing, you want to see more wins. And I feel like this, when I look at the schedule this year, it's not quite as tough as it was last year. They do play some tough games, but the good news is the tough games, a majority of them are going to be played at home. They got Texas Tech to finish out the season on the road, but other than that, the schedule's pretty favorable for them. Now, Sonny Dykes probably hate me saying that, but I think there's some wins out there. I think, like you mentioned, a lot of starters on both sides of the football, a lot of experience. If they can adapt to a new offense and be successful in taking care of the football, Jaden Craig plays up a level. One thing I didn't mention earlier, the receiver room, even though they lost Eric McAllister and Joseph Manjack, I really feel like the receiver room is going to be better this year than it was last year. Jordan Dwyer is just one of those pieces. You have guys like Terry Shelton that stepped up really big in spring. Dozie Ezukama stepped up really big in the spring. He might be the surprise of the Big 12 this year with his size and speed. So I feel like the schedule gives them a chance to win 9 or 10 regular season games. But I think the number, it's a moot point if they're not playing for the Big 12 championship. I think that's the goal around the program. If you look at last year, guys, Utah was 10-2 and they didn't play in the Big 12 championship. So you got to look at it from a perspective of, even if they have 9 wins, they have a chance to play for Big 12 championship and have a chance to go to the playoff. I think that's the ultimate goal for them.
Yeah, well said. Jeremy Clark, Horned Frog Blitz, does a great job of breaking it all down for us. Jeremy, thanks for your time. Be well, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much.
Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo. This puts a wrap around our road to Arlington TCU. Tomorrow we're taking a look at Arizona State and our road to Arlington. on today's Power Hour. Check out the Big 12 Power Hour featuring Doug McNamee, the new Baylor athletic director. I promise you're not going to want to miss our conversation with the brand spanking new Baylor AD, Doug McNamee, plus Dave Aranda, Willie Fritz, and Kenny Dillingham, all starting at 1 o'clock Central today. It's part of our Tuesday Big 12 Power Hour. And then at 2 o'clock Central, it's Gene Taylor, Casey Alexander, Jared Calhoun, and Bill Self. So a host of Big 12 basketball coaches. And then at 3 o'clock, you can catch the Road to Arlington TCU, the series we just concluded. It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Jamie Plunkett, who does a great job at covering Big 12 baseball, joins us in the next hour, but we do Valid or Void next.
Glad to see your family as that ball is picked up on Clark. The captain at the back end plucks it away for TCU. Got to get it to the 29. Third down. Lopez to the outside, and it's intercepted. And it's going to be a walk-in touchdown for the veteran Bud Clark. His 12th career pick. Robertson, pressure inside, and he's dropped. Bud Clark gets the sack. His first sack of the season. And it comes out to 20.4 miles per hour. Fourth fastest for a safety in the FBS. But number 2 Falcon got in the way. Douglas, he is hammered. Look at those guys in purple, all arriving in a bad humor.
Take a look here at Bud Clark come down and make this play. Now, he doesn't get him down initially. However, he stops the play from happening, and the rest of his teammates can come and race to the tackle field.
Lopez gets hit, and that's a strike that he threw in there. Quick pass, Gallagher in space. Wrapped up right there by Bud Clark, the elder statesman.
Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. A reminder to download the brand spanking new Big 12 app featuring Big 12 Radio. You can also catch breaking Big 12 news, scores, and, of course, us, Big 12 Radio, all a part of the brand spanking new Big 12 app. Download it, love it, heart it, do everything. Big 12 today, presented by Modelo. You can hear us on Big 12 Studios, or rather on TuneIn, and watch us on Big 12 Studios. Big12studios.com is the website to find out all of the places you can find us. Okay, we'll talk baseball with Jamie Plunkett in about 15 minutes. It's time now for a little Valid or Void. And with that, we bring in our producer, Taman Turner. T-Chains?
Yo, yo, yo. What's up, what's up? All right, guys. Valid or Void, there's a lot of buzz, a lot of fun happening up at Ari's alma mater in Lawrence, Kansas. So my first topic is, Valid or Void, Kansas will make the College World Series.
Valid. By the way, I'm having valid or void like PTSD because when we did this last week, I thought I was going to pass out mid-segment. The Kansas home field advantage is very real. Record-shattering numbers. Over 4,000 fans in attendance for the Arkansas game. Largest crowd in the stadium's 38-year history. And Oklahoma, let's not forget, they were an underdog against Georgia Tech. This ain't your granddaddy's Oklahoma. They lost their top 3 arms to the MLB draft. They had to burn through their bullpen in that come-from-behind, thrilling victory that they're all excited about over Georgia Tech. So, heck yeah, let's ride this high. Rock chalk, Ari.
Whoa!
I said it. You guys have a cool, catchy thing that you do at KU? Like at West Virginia, they do country roads, and it's awesome.
Yeah, this is valid. Look, Kansas has won all different ways. They've come from behind. They've faced adversity. I mean, you would have thought at the end of the year they lose 3 straight with the Big 12 championship on the line to West Virginia at home, and they turn around and finish it off, win the Big 12 championship, go to win the Big 12 tournament, and then just win 3 straight in their regional. Overcome a 5-0 deficit against Arkansas, and then outscored them for 11 runs over the 3 innings to win 13-10 to advance their first super regional in program history. This team is hot. They're hosting, and they get an old foe coming to town. Book it. Lawrence to Omaha. First time since 1993.
Are you going to Omaha? If it happens.
Yes.
You got it, dude. I went to Omaha College World Series, didn't have a dog in the fight. I went for a bachelor party. Arkansas was there. Their fans were terrible.
Of course. Typical.
KU will flock upon Omaha.
You know the only thing worse than Arkansas fans?
K-State fans?
Oklahoma fans.
All right, don't say it. Oklahoma fans. What about Texas fans?
No, because at least they know the arrogance that they have. With Oklahoma, it's very, quieted arrogance. And it's...
I would disagree.
Well, I guess quiet unless you're a Texas fan. But they kind of ride the coattails of Texas, and Texas is the target, whereas Oklahoma's kind of like, we're here too, remember us?
I had an Uber driver, lifelong Oklahoma fan, told me how big of a fan he was. I said, what I did for a job, and he just went on this huge, how much he loves Oklahoma. But then he couldn't actually tell me anything about Oklahoma in any capacity. Didn't know anything about their backstory, but, man, he's a huge Oklahoma fan.
What do you mean?
T-shirt fan.
Didn't know anything about, Oklahoma football?
No, I was asking him, how he feels about Venables, and he's like,
oh, yeah.
You could just tell the guy was talking out his ass.
You're, testing him? Yeah, so who was their quarterback last year? Just trying to remember. Do you remember?
In 2000, what a run. What a run that 2000 was. It's like, Bob who?
Love it. I have to ask, how far is Omaha from Lawrence?
Not far. Couple hours, maybe?
Couple hours north?
Yeah, it's not far.
North?
Omaha from Kansas City's only, I think it's definitely less than 3. It might be less than 2. I'm going to guess 2.5.
Lawrence north. I think Ari's looking it up.
He is looking it up. I'm going 2.5 on the record. Lawrence to Omaha.
3 hours, 189 miles, due north.
That's driving the speed limit. You can make it in 2.5. 245 at worst.
It's 189 miles, okay? 304 kilometers. I know how big you are in the kilometers.
So if you go 90 the whole way, you're there in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lawrence north. I like it.
So the distance, by the way, between Dallas and Omaha is just a sweet 9 hours. It's 658 miles. You making that trip with me?
Bro, you go 90, you're there in 7.
Oh, Easy.
All right, topic number 2. This does involve the Texas Longhorns. So as you guys have heard, there's been a lot of back and forth. It started with Sark. I wouldn't even say it's back and forth. Texas throws shots at Texas Tech. Unfair. But are they going to play this year? That's the question. Valid or void? So Texas and Tech will play at some point this season, whether it's week 1 or whether it's in the playoffs maybe. Valid or void?
I'm going to say valid. They're going to play in a few days here in the College World Series Women's Softball Championship. Oh, you meant in football.
In football.
That's
good catch.
I'm going to say valid. Why not? Hell yeah, let's have some fun. Opening round of the playoff. Nay, second round of the playoff. Ah! Let's go crazy. Semifinals. Book it.
You don't think the college football playoff, they don't look at matchups. They wouldn't try and put these teams in the same side of the bracket or anything, would they?
No.
But Texas has to get there, Taman. They're not playing week 1. Texas Tech picked up the phone. Texas just keeps screening those phone calls. They're not answering. They're hiding in their mom's basement. They're not going to play because Texas would have to beat 4-8 Florida, or they'd have to survive an overtime walk-off field goal win against 4-8 Kentucky. Taman, you're a lifelong Texas fan. Am I right? Valid or void? Sark's comments and their reaction is the most passive-aggressive middle school Snapchat, AOL Instant Messenger behavior in the history of sports.
The fact that you put AOL, Instagram, Messenger.
Instant Messenger.
Okay, AOL Instant Messenger.
It's a throwback.
AIM, yeah, that's like 02, 03. Yes, valid, 100% valid.
Okay, that's from a Texas fan. Keep that in mind.
I just thought it was unnecessary. Why throw any shade when you're not in the same conference anymore? You left. There's just no need for it. Focus on your schedule. Focus on your own conference.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's Jalen Brewster. It's Anthony Sweeney. It's Benny Easter. It's Kavion Bryant. It's Sherrod Baker. These are 4-star recruits.
Oh, 4-star?
Texas Tech has gotten to commit. And Jalen Brewster is a 5-star, the number 1 overall athlete in the state of Texas from Cedar Hill, 6'3", 302 pounds. For some reason, Texas feels like a birthright to getting all these kids. By the way, he went to Cedar Hill. Of course he's going to go to Joey McGuire in Texas Tech. And that's it. I mean, Chris Level said it yesterday. He's 100% right. They sense Texas presence. Texas senses Tech's presence.
Yep.
And because of that, they have to call them out.
I hear that kids want to play in the NFL. They want to play on Sundays and make a bag in college, something Texas Tech is crushing everybody at.
I'll just say this. Texas has won 1 championship in 21 years, I guess now. And they made a national championship game, 16 years ago? You're not entitled to anything. You got to earn it. Just throwing that out there. And that's from a Texas fan. All right. Valid or void, our next topic. This involves the Cleveland Browns and Brendan Sorsby. I was thinking about, Sorsby's situation and this supplemental draft coming up. So, valid or void, Browns head coach Todd Monken is correct by saying that the Brendan Sorsby situation is a slippery slope that teams should stay away from.
All right, before we answer this question, let's hear what Todd Monken said when asked about Sorsby and the supplemental draft.
Not at all. I mean, it's not even come across my desk. I don't think we're in a position to want to go down that road. That's my opinion. That's not Andrew's. And that, I like the quarterbacks that we have. I think that's a slippery slope when you go down that, irrespective of talent, right? In terms of the situation he's put himself in. We all know what that is. He put himself in that situation. And we've seen in other sports with players that have been banned for life from playing in professional sports. I think that's a slippery slope to go down that road. Again, that's a question for Andrew and for management. But from my end of it, kind of a tough angle to go down that road and think that that's going to be your franchise quarterback if he's ever eligible to even play in the NFL.
All right, so valid or void, Monken's comments there, valid or void?
So I'm not validating the comments because I disagree. I do think Brendan Sorsby could eventually be a franchise quarterback. He was a Heisman contender. He was expected to be a first, maybe second round at worst, drafted quarterback before all this happened. So you're getting an incredible talent. But where I void it is what teams have to give up if they draft him in the supplemental draft. because the NFL uses a blind bidding system. So the team with the bid, the highest bid acquires that player, right? But you have to surrender that pick in the following NFL draft. So if there's only one team that bids on him, they draft him in the first round of the supplemental draft, and they have to give up a first-round NFL draft pick in the real draft. That changes the narrative for me. So I think teams know that they can get him without the supplemental draft, in the real NFL draft, in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, because he will slide because of all of this. So for that reason, I void it.
So you're voiding that he'll get drafted in a supplemental draft?
Correct. I don't think anybody takes him.
Because the question here is Monk incorrect in saying it's a slippery slope the team should stay away from? I guess you're validate or void whether Sorsby's a team that NFL team should stay away from. Sorsby's a player that NFL team should stay away from. I would say
void that.
Yeah, void. You know, and for me, it's Monken's comments there, like, they track, and I get it, and it all makes sense. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Like, how many franchise quarterbacks also make bad decisions at times? You know, certainly you could trace this really bad decision that Sorsby made repeatedly in gambling and decisions to place wagers as a bad decision. But, like, yeah, I'll show you plenty of franchise quarterbacks that showed in other capacities of their life, other areas of their life, they weren't great decision makers.
Totally.
This feels like specious reasoning to me, and I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to avoid it.
Way bigger character red flags are drafted every round in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Would you put a bid in for him in the supplemental draft, not knowing what the other teams are doing, knowing that you could potentially lose a first or a second round pick in the upcoming real draft?
Yeah, I would put a third-round pick out there, thinking if I can get him for a third, this is a potential first-round pick as a quarterback that I'm getting in the third, I feel good about it. I would not put out a first or a second-round pick.
Totally agree.
Can I just throw out the notion, are the Browns in any position to talk about who they should run away from at quarterback? They've only had about
that's also
50 since
very good point.
1999.
Right. Yeah, correct. The Browns are in no position to be the moral authority here on which quarterbacks they should take.
Todd Monken is not the guy to be leading this charge from the NFL. If this is a hey, we're all unified behind closed doors thing.
If anything, this should indicate to other teams to go after Sorsby.
All right, next topic. Valid or void, UCF has the best gold helmet in college football.
Well, this is what they're claiming on social media. This is piggybacking off of was it Cincinnati that said they had the best all-black alternate uniforms? Yeah, UCF claiming they have the best gold helmet in all of college football. I like their helmet, but there are better helmets out there. Look at Baylor's gold chrome helmet right here in the Big 12. I love Colorado's gold helmet that they wear that has a little shine to it. It's not completely chrome, but it's got a little nighttime gloss finish. And then Notre Dame's gold helmet is the standard of gold helmets in college football. It has real gold in it. So very bold claim for UCF to put that out there.
Yeah, UCF, UCLA, Florida State, Colorado, Vanderbilt. These are all the teams that have legitimately gold helmets. Anybody for the Pitt, Cal, Pittsburgh Steelers variety, that's yellow. That is not gold. I'm not going to buy that.
So Arizona State doesn't qualify because
Correct.
they're like Sparky throwback.
No, those are yellow. Those are not gold. Have you ever seen gold before? If somebody handed you a medal that was that color, would you say, look at this gold medal?
I just have. Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to validate this. Yeah, absolutely. Screw Notre Dame.
What about Baylor's gold chrome hats?
They don't wear it enough.
That's fair.
Yeah, no.
Good take.
Yeah, UCF has the best gold helmets. You kidding me? Notre Dame, what is this, 1991? What is this, 1978? Also, I'm glad you said football because I was watching the Georgia Tech-Oklahoma game in baseball yesterday, and Georgia Tech's got some pretty sick gold helmets in baseball.
I just have to say this real quick. The Jordan 1s, the black and gold ones, you guys might have seen me wear them before. I think they remind me of UCF's helmet, so I'm validating it.
Validate it. Come on.
Validation.
James went with Notre Dame here.
Validation.
James, you shouldn't be allowed back in the room.
I don't have to like Notre Dame to think they have cool gold helmets.
Yes, you do.
Real golden.
You are a Notre Dame lover, and this show is rejecting you. Boo this man.
Wait until Notre Dame's in the league 6 years from now.
Boo this man and his gold helmet takes.
All right, last topic, guys, because we have to do this Country Road. West Virginia will make the College World Series.
Valid.
Playoffs? They've got Cal Poly, Little Rock, and Troy?
No, they only have Cal Poly.
Right, but then it's Little Rock and Troy.
I mean,
they're making a deep run in the College World Series. Is this a question? Yes, it is. Valid. They're making the College World Series.
Valid.
Valid. Big 12 caught a huge break here with 1 and 2 both losing, so West Virginia and Kansas both get to host. They're in the driver's seat for not only a World Series bid, but a deep potential run. Should be a lot of fun. James Westling, Ari Tepkin, Big 12 today. Let's get caught up on what's happening in baseball with our buddy Jamie Plunkett from the Base 12 Sports Newsletter and the Flyover League podcast. He catches us up on what's happening in the Super Regionals next. This is Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.
Quickly under center, and it is Daniels in for a touchdown.
Appearance, offset right, and the Kansas backfield. He'll take heat, looking for the edge, and stumbling out of bounds. 71 again, you mentioned on third downs. Here is the motion man. Daniels takes a shot downfield, and it's caught. He's been through it quite a long time ago. He's here in year 6. Nice catch. Henderson off to the races with a vapor trail behind him.
The motions for Kansas. They get a peck it. Daniels at the seam, and it's caught. Touchdown.
Big 12 Radio presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Along with James Wesley, I'm Ari Tepkin, and now let's visit with Jamie Plunkett from Base 12 Sports and the Flyover League podcast. Jamie, how are you?
Ari, how you doing? James, how's it going?
Doing well. We need a Flyover League updated pod. Got to start
It's
there.
up.
Is it? Okay. This morning
We
I was
got an
driving
episode
in.
out today.
Okay, good. Because I was driving it at 5, didn't find it, and it was still Big 12 stuff. So I'm glad you guys got it out. Way to go. All right, so let's focus on West Virginia, Kansas, the top two teams of the Big 12 pretty much all season. The top two teams now remain both hosting super regionals. How improbable is that?
Significantly improbable. I mean, you're talking about watching the number 1 overall seed UCLA go down, not even make their own regional final, losing to St. Mary's, and then Georgia Tech getting walked off in their own ballpark against Oklahoma on Monday afternoon, which opened the path for Kansas to host. And when you can consider that alongside the fact that 2 4 seeds have advanced to the super regionals, alongside the fact that none of the 8 participants from last year's College World Series even made the super regionals this year.
Wow.
The whole 2026 field has been absolutely chaotic. This is one of the best regional weekends I can remember. And the fact that it bore out in a way that allows both Kansas and West Virginia to host a super regional after they put their best feet forward in a regional hosting situation is just incredible, both for those institutions and for the league as a whole. Because, I mean, what better representatives than Dan Fitzgerald and Steve Sabins to kind of carry this league forward into deep June?
And what better representatives in terms of the fan support, the country roads after West Virginia, the madness that is Hoagland Ballpark. So just to have the Big 12 and these 2 programs in particular on this stage beating SEC schools, what does it mean for the league?
It's huge. It's really important because we've spent a lot of time this year, the 3 of us, talking about how the Big 12 can improve its perception, right? And there's been this perception nationally that the Big 12 is the 3rd best league and definitively the 3rd best league behind both the SEC and the ACC. Well, the SEC got 7 teams into a super regional and the ACC only got 1, right? And that's North Carolina, who was a national seed and was supposed to be there. But the ACC got 9 teams in and only 1 team advanced to the super regional. So this is a big deal for the Big 12 to take advantage of this moment. And not just from a league perspective, but Kansas is in its first super regional in program history. They're making a new path for Kansas baseball this year under Dan Fitzgerald. This is the first time that West Virginia will host a super regional. That's a huge deal for that fan base up in Morgantown. And we saw, like you mentioned, James, the way that they rallied around that ball club this weekend. Those scenes from Sunday and Monday night in Morgantown are some of the best college baseball scenes I can remember.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot. And so the fact that they're both in this situation, 2 wins away from Omaha for the first time in program history, the fact that they're representing the Big 12 in a year where the ACC is really struggling and where some other leagues maybe haven't stepped up like we thought they would, including the Big 10, losing the number 1 overall seed in a regional. It's really, really important for national perception, but also more importantly for both of those institutions. It's just great to see really, really good baseball getting rewarded with super regional hosts and an opportunity to go to Omaha.
Yeah, well said. All right, so the super regional opponents here, Kansas and Oklahoma, a long-time conference rivals, and Cal Poly and West Virginia, not exactly long-time conference rivals. Break down Oklahoma for us and how Kansas matches up with them.
Well, Oklahoma can hit. I mean, we saw it all weekend in Atlanta. Obviously, they've got some big bats that can deliver late, but really it's the pitching, right? You got LJ Mercurius, you've got Cam Johnson, you've got a couple of these other guys that are really, really good on the mound, and that's going to be a challenge for Kansas. This might be the best or second best pitching staff that Kansas has seen this year, and I would consider West Virginia probably the other one. And we know what happened when West Virginia traveled to Lawrence earlier this season. They went 3-0 against the Jayhawks. So I think it's going to be a real challenge for this Kansas lineup to find opportunities, but they're good and they're feeling it right now, right? You can't underestimate how good they're feeling after the way that they beat Arkansas the last 2 days. So I like Kansas's opportunity. The fact that it's at home in front of their fan base is going to be huge. But Oklahoma is a threat, no doubt. There's a reason they came out of that region in Atlanta.
What ultimately was the number 1 reason that they came out of that region?
Well, just one swing, right? At the end of the day, they pushed and pushed and pushed Georgia Tech to the brink. And when it came down to it, they delivered in bigger moments, right? I can't remember exactly what Georgia Tech went with runners in scoring position on Monday, but it wasn't great, and they had some opportunities. They got up, and then Oklahoma State just chipped away and chipped away and chipped away and ultimately delivered that last walk-off home run to devastate those Yellow Jacket fans. I've got family members that are Georgia Tech. They were texting me yesterday, really upset about the results, and that's just the way baseball goes, to quote Ron Washington.
Yeah, and when it comes to the other 4 Big 12 teams that did not advance to the Super Regionals, what were your takeaways there? Any positives?
Oh, a ton of positives. Thinking about the way that Oklahoma State had to fight to stay healthy this year, losing Avery Ortiz for the majority of the year, and then how huge was he in the regional all weekend long? Mario Pesca going down with an injury at times, Hudson Barrett going down with an injury at times, and both those guys throwing just absolutely enormous games on Sunday and Saturday to get Oklahoma State to a point where they could even compete for a regional final. So I think there's a lot of really positive stuff to take away from Oklahoma State's time in Tuscaloosa. Obviously, they wanted to get to a super. They haven't been in 7 years now. That's the longest stretch under Josh Holliday. But I still think there's a lot of positives to take away from this Oklahoma State team. And same for Arizona State. They're going to lose a lot, especially on the pitching side. So they're going to have to figure out how to handle that this offseason. But 2 back-to-back tournament bids under Willie Bloomquist. I think that program's heading in the right direction. And you've got, by the way, a Golden Spikes semifinalist returning next year. That's a pretty good building piece. I like what I saw from those 2 teams. And then UCF and Cincinnati are both teams on the rise. I really enjoy what I've seen from Rich Wallace down in Orlando, Gordon Bishop up in Cincinnati. I think they're building good rosters. Quentin Coates is only a sophomore this year, so he gets to come back for another year for the Bearcats, and we'll see how they can build around him. But yeah, I think all 4 of those teams that we saw on the weekend are programs on the rise, programs taking a good step, and now it's really important for them to nail the offseason.
I think West Virginia is like the perfect team to get a team like Cal Poly, because West Virginia is not going to fall into that we're overlooking this team, they're underseeded, they're a Cinderella narrative, because they're built with a bunch of Division II transfers, as you just noted on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. So what do you see in West Virginia and Cal Poly? Like, how dangerous is that Cal Poly team? Is this like a 16 seed in March Madness being in the round of 32?
Man, I would give Cal Poly a little more credit than that. I'd say they're probably somewhere around like a 12 or a 13 seed. But this is a good baseball club, right? They've been good for a couple of years now. They were trouble in the regional last year, I believe, up in Eugene, Oregon. I believe that's who Arizona beat to go to the Super Regional last year, and they put up a fight against the Wildcats in 2025. And just because they didn't have to play UCLA in that region out in Los Angeles this year doesn't mean they're not dangerous. They can pitch, they can hit, they can do all the things. They're fundamentally sound defensively as well, which I think is really important this time of year. And they're going to give West Virginia problems. But I think you're right in saying that West Virginia won't overlook them, because West Virginia itself has been overlooked for a lot of the year. A lot of people debated whether they deserved to be a host. They were the last team to earn a host, and now they have a chance to welcome in Cal Poly to their ballpark. I don't think they're going to take this opportunity for granted.
All right, so with all the Super Regionals now set, Jamie, what's your Final 8 look like? Who's going to the World Series?
Oh my gosh! Well, I've got to go with Kansas and West Virginia, right? I've been riding with them all year, and Ari, I know that you'd be really mad if I didn't pick Kansas.
Yes,
but so
you can't pick Oklahoma, Jamie. Even as a TCU guy, you can't pick Oklahoma.
Yeah, no, Oklahoma dominates TCU in pretty much everything, so you know that's not happening. But let's see, who else do we have here? Troy Little Rock is probably going to be my favorite Super Regional, just because whoever saw that coming. Give me Troy, just because they're hosting that Super. Give me Georgia hosting Mississippi State. I'll take Texas over Oregon. Trying to remember who Alabama is hosting. Is it Ole Miss?
Yes.
No,
I'll
they've
take
got
Ole
St.
Miss.
John's.
St. John. Oh, yeah.
They got St. John's. Okay, give me Alabama, and then Ole Miss is going where?
Auburn.
Remind me.
Auburn.
That's going to be a good one. I'll take Ole Miss in that one. So we'll go Ole Miss, Troy, West Virginia, Kansas, and I've forgotten the other ones at this point. Texas, but here, yeah, we'll go with that. I should have written this down before I came on a live radio show.
All good. I put you on the spot.
Man, having Troy and Little Rock in Supers, knowing that one of those two are going to the College World Series, like, is this, I guess, put into perspective this Cinderella story for college baseball as a sport and what this could mean for the sport, especially when, like, it already feels like West Virginia and KU are underdogs, and then you factor in these guys in this world of transfer portal and NIL and football and basketball, and Milan Momcilovic gets $6 million to go to Kentucky. Like, I feel like this could be a really cool thing for baseball and for fans to continue to rally behind the sport.
Oh, absolutely. You think about the parity that we're seeing this year. I mean, in Little Rock last year was the only team to beat LSU in the NCAA tournament, right? LSU went like 11-1 or 12-1 on their way to a national championship. The only team they lost to was Little Rock. Troy has been a thorn in people's sides for years in regionals. We also saw Milwaukee push Auburn to the brink in the Auburn regional this year. And so there's definitely this level of parity that we're seeing from the mid-major level that is really fun. And I think part of it comes from the fact that we've seen a reduction in the MLB draft number of rounds over the last few years. So there's more talent coming to the college level, and you pair that with the fact that college rosters are now being trimmed down to 34. There's only so much room for people on those SEC rosters. There's only so much room for people on an ACC roster. And so those guys have to go somewhere to play, and they're going to find an opportunity either close to home or where there's early starting time or whatever it may be to go and just play baseball. And so this is a really cool situation where we're actually seeing some of the changes that the NCAA has made work out to the benefit of some mid-major schools and work out to the benefit of even some low-end like Big 12 and Big 10 schools who can be competitive because they're going to just have the opportunity to acquire good talent. And then you look at, a team like Cal Poly, and California is just such a good hotbed of recruiting talent that they're going to always have dudes on the roster. Same with St. Mary's, same with some of these other schools as well. So the fact that the playing field is so level is just really cool to see.
Yeah, and with 1 and 2 out, Jamie, who do you think wins it all?
I mean, it's hard not to go with a team like Georgia just because they've been mashing all year.
Yeah.
But you say that, and then you look at the way that the ballpark in Omaha plays TD Ameritrade, and it doesn't play anything like Georgia's ballpark. Right. And we've seen power hitting teams go to Omaha and really struggle to produce runs because they're so dependent on home runs. So I think it's going to be a team that has a good mixture of starting pitching and a team that doesn't have to rely on the long ball. So give me a team, honestly, Alabama kind of fits that mold. Ole Miss kind of fits that mold. West Virginia kind of fits that mold. Teams that didn't rely on the long ball all year and still were able to produce runs. I mean, Armani Guzman maybe hit 3 home runs all year, and he single-handedly scored like 4 runs last night for the Mountaineers just because of his ability to get on base and steal bases. So that's the kind of team that I think is going to have a lot of success when they get to the Final 8.
Yeah, well said. Jamie Plunkett, Base 12 Sports. Go check out the newsletter and follow along on the podcast, the Flyover League. You've done a great job all season. It's been fun to have you on. Appreciate your time as always, Jamie.
Thanks, fellas. See y'all in Omaha.
Thanks, Jamie.
See you, bud. Jamie Plunkett joining us here. It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We now have dates for the 2027 College Football Playoff. We get to that next. Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.
Gilkey off the hands of Record and intercepted. Genesis Smith, the safety. Inside the 15.
Sorsby was. He throws. It's Cyrus Allen, and they rally to swing him down. Genesis Smith with great speed to the perimeter.
It's on the ground, it's fumbled, picked up by Arizona, and going the other way inside the 5-yard line, Genesis Smith.
Big 12 Radio, Big 12 Today, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Along with James Westling, I'm Ari Tepkin. Going on a little vacay tomorrow. So you'll be left in the very capable hands of James Westling here for the next few days, the foreseeable future.
Are you all packed? When does the packing process begin? Because you guys are gone for a full week?
Well, so it's a three-part situation here. So number one is the kids leave today with my in-laws. So they're heading to Naples, Florida, so we had to pack the kids up. Then when my son comes back, I have two sons. When one of the two comes, when they both come back together. But the older one has 3 days between getting back from Naples, Florida, to going to overnight camp. So there's two-pronged packing going on for the eldest son.
That's a quick turnaround.
And then there's our packing for our trip, which has kind of become secondary to the humongous undertaking it is to pack a kid for 2 weeks in Naples and then for 2 weeks for camp.
Yeah, that part sounds way more stressful because if you forget something for the kids, it's out of your control. You have no control over that situation. You don't trust them to get what they need. Do you trust the adults in close proximity to get what they need? But if you forget something, and when we travel, it's like we forget that we're
right. We're
not
going to still be on Earth.
Yeah, we're not traveling to different planets. Like there is a Walmart or a Walgreens or whatever on every corner, and we all pack the same way. Super intense, like can't forget anything. You're pacing around the house at the last minute, but everything's everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, so I'll do some packing later today, but it'll be weird. It's going to be weird to be at the house without the boys. And, as great it is to kind of shed kids and have some alone time, I don't know. It's the noise around the house that you're going to miss.
They leave today.
Yeah.
So you've got a good 12-hour window-ish.
Yes.
Maybe even longer to just sit in silence.
Yeah.
Embrace the silence.
Embrace the silence. It's sort of funny. It's almost like when your parents go out of town. It's like you get old enough when you have kids where it's like, oh yeah, party, like we're gonna have people over and drinks and I'm gonna play loud music. It's like I'm a grown adult. I could have done this at my house at any point in time. It's just I decide when the kids go away, that's the time to do it.
Yes. It's totally backwards.
So we're gonna go out to Portland, Maine. Everybody's like, why are you going to Maine? I get some of the most condescending, like, Maine? Like, huh?
Those are people that clearly have never been to Maine.
Clearly they don't know. IYKYK.
Portland, Maine's on all the top 10 underrated tourist destinations, best places to live. My uncle lives there.
I'm glad I didn't have to justify it to you. I figured with you being the small town bumpkin that you are, it would have been like, what's out there?
Maine?
Is that a state or what?
The main event? No,
there's one down the street from my house.
Maybe I should connect you guys because he's actually a Kansas grad and alum. And, yeah, my uncle lives in Maine, and they've lived there for many, many years. I think they lived in Chapel Hill, North Carolina for a bit because his wife, her father, or somebody on that side of the family.
It's your dad's brother?
My mom's brother.
Your mom's brother is a Jayhawk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Jayhawk.
You should connect us. Absolutely.
House divided. Oh, yeah, dude. Like, growing up, we had all those house divided signs and rocks in the lawn. Very much grew up in a house divided environment.
What it should say is Jayhawk house with a few freaks is what it should say.
Those weirdos over there, all they do is ag.
All they do is ag and yell at us.
Ag and crop judge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a beautiful part of the country. Super weird, by the way, that you're going to Maine and I'm going to Vermont for our vacation.
Yeah, it is. It says that we're both old, and when it comes to trips, it's about really good food and good scenery, which is the main reason we're going to Maine.
And weather.
Yeah.
Weather might be number one.
Right. It's like actually kind of cold right now in Maine, which is spectacular.
I don't think it ever gets above 75.
If people are watching us right now, they might see that it is hot and sweaty inside the studio right now. I mean, it's got to be 85 to 90 degrees with the 100% humidity inside here.
No, so the thermostat, I just checked actually during the last break. T-Chains, that thermostat says 87 degrees on the wall over there. Over, under 87 and a half.
Over.
It's, what is it, T-Chains?
85.
85.
Yeah, but
I don't believe it.
But
I think he's looking at the wrong thermostat.
It's true, and it's humid in here, too, which is not being accounted for in the thermostat.
Studio lights. It's been a rough hour, but we will power through it.
It's true.
Went out to eat last night, did a little menu maxing.
Okay.
Got my 13-year-old daughter in town for a good chunk of the summer. Trying to
Menu maxing.
Yeah, a little menu maxing. I'm trying to hit her with all the Gen Z lingo so she thinks I'm cool.
What's menu maxing?
Just maximizing the menu. I call it eating. A little plate flexing. A little plate flexing at dinner.
It's this new thing. It's where you order things on the menu. It's called menu maxing.
Or menu maxing. Plate flexing in my strength era.
Plate flexing that's where like you're excited about your plate. Like, look at this plate. Look at this.
You got to take a photo of it.
Yeah, I mean that's like, come on. That's the hysteria of social media when it first started. This is like boomer stuff, not Gen Z. Come on.
Social media 101.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's getting to the age where she leans that she's a little bit embarrassed by me. Like, publicly, she's pretty cool. I dropped her off at volleyball camp. I said, hey, you want me to hang around a little bit? She said no, and literally shoved me towards the exit.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So we're in that window of hanging out with dad's not as cool as it used to be, but let's be pretty.
Can we have a frank conversation here?
Yeah.
You failed as a father.
Because she doesn't want to hang out with me at the age of 13?
No, because she's not more embarrassed of you. What the hell's the matter with you, James?
Just constantly bragging about
If
myself.
your 13-year-old daughter isn't completely and utterly embarrassed by even the sight of you, then you have failed as a father, okay? If leaving volleyball practice, you didn't say, honey, you want me to leave? Which one is it? If you didn't scream that from the top of your lungs, then how many wasted opportunities, James?
Man, that's a good point.
God, do I have to hold your hand and parent you?
I'm a couple hours away from that.
Yeah,
I think that's the move.
You've
As
got to
loud
lean
and as
in.
Obnoxious as possible.
Anytime either of my kids say anything about embarrassing them, I'm all in now. Oh,
No, but
I'm embarrassed you? Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Then I just laugh ridiculously uncontrollably like that.
It sounds really good.
It's a great start to embarrassmentville.
And it's not embarrassing to you. That's the key. It's only embarrassing to them.
Totally. I can't embarrass myself. I'm far beyond embarrassment. I'm in a world and an age in which
That's true.
I'm closer to adult diapers than anything else. Like I'm beyond embarrassment, okay?
But dude, it's such a fun age. Like I just keep trying to get her to hang out with us. That's obstacle number one. She is way too cool for us old geezers.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
So I'm like, I know she's in a room. I'm texting her like, hey, we're in the living room. Just FYI.
Just and then you got to back that up with like a honey, we're out here. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Come say hello.
She didn't answer. She was dry texting me, so I followed up with, hey, it's just in front of the kitchen. If you forget where it is. We're on the couch. You can come out here and do whatever you want.
You drop her off at the mall. You're like, hey, I'm just gonna see you in, just make sure everything goes smoothly. No, just trust me.
Like, we're at the age 90% of her texts are her asking me for money, or Dutch Bros, or 7 Brew, or to go to the mall, or whatever it is, and it's always prefaced with a D-A-D-D-D-D-D, dad. I don't even know how you would say that verbally. It's not the A's that are extended.
Dad.
Yeah, that. That's how I read it. So yeah, just menu maxing as well.
Does she hit you with the daddy when she wants money, or it's strictly dad?
No.
Got it.
No, we just go with the long emphasized dad. So yeah, we're running a Dutch Bros, but also the other thing, because the concept of traffic, she's pretty close to being driving age. In Kansas, you can drive at 15. You can drive to school and you can drive to work.
Probably drive at 10.
Physically, she's taller than my wife. Like, she can drive. She's fully capable of it. So we're learning some things. She pumped her own gas yesterday, which is great for me. And then, but the concept of traffic, pretty foreign to the outsiders, us small town country folk. Takes us an hour to get picked up from volleyball camp to go get gas and go to Dutch Bros. Like, small towns, you whip that out in 4 minutes.
Right, correct, yeah.
Here it took a full hour.
Yeah, here you've got a bunch of morons going slow in left lane, slows down traffic for everybody. Love it.
Hey, let's go to the mall. Excuse me, it's 5:48 p.m. We don't leave our house in this window.
Yeah, no, please.
No.
Anything close to around 6:35 is basically murder at this point.
Like the mall, I'll pencil you in for 2 p.m. on a Thursday, maybe. Not happening.
Yeah, there's basically anytime you want to drive anywhere between 4 and 6, like, buckle up. It's going to be a bit.
And we've got it good. We've got it good because we get here so early and we leave pretty close to after the show, and so we miss all those rush hour windows.
Yeah, meanwhile, still you've got morons in the left lane going slow. I give them the dirty look as I drive past them, and they're like, oh, me? Well, what have I done?
You have tinted windows? See,
No.
I can't do that. I've got the full tint.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't have tint.
You got to get. Well,
No,
actually,
I want them to see.
Yeah, I think that's the move.
I want to see how stupid they are.
And usually
They are. Speaking of stupid, or is this stupid? They've announced the schedule for the 2027 college football playoff. The national champion is going to be on national championship will be January 25th, which means that is a full 52 days between conference championship weekend and the college football playoff title game. James,
What? Also, why are all these games on TNT? Like the television schedule?
yeah, TNT got a Final Four game this year, a semifinal game this year. That's huge.
They got 2 of the quarterfinals and 2 of the first round games. So ESPN like sub-licensing all this to TNT, which basically they just hand it off and say like it's your problem now. You've got to figure out the crewing. You've got to crew everybody, staff everybody. TNT's breaking like it's halfway. It's a 50-50 split TNT and ESPN.
The college football playoff first round is December 18th and 19th, and the quarterfinals are the 30th and January 1st. So 3 of the 4 games are going to be on New Year's Day, and the 4th is on December 30th. So they're avoiding New Year's Eve this year. 1 game on the 30th, the rest on the 1st. And then the semifinals are the 14th and 15th with the national championship game on January 25th.
Do you know what the mathematical halfway point of the college football season is?
What?
November 14th.
Wow.
Week 11
That's
is
insane.
the mathematical halfway mark of the college football season.
Not for all, but for the total composition of the season.
Correct.
Yeah.
We will have college football from August through almost the tail end of January.
Insane.
So November, week 11, your team's 8-2, whatever that may be. You're in the hunt for a Big 12 championship. Could be the halfway point to your season.
If anything, we need college football playoff expansion simply to get some order to the schedule, which is basically starting August 29th, right?
Yes.
And going all the way to January 25th.
Yes.
I mean, look, I love my football season as much as the next guy, but that seems very protracted.
Like week 14, for teams that aren't sniffing a bowl game, your season's basically over. You're thinking about, okay, who's going to be leaving in the portal? If we're making a coaching move, who's going to be our next hire? Your season is done. Some other teams in college football are hitting the halfway point of their season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Think about how much more developed they are in January compared to November. It doesn't make any sense.
All right, the Road to Arlington series continues tomorrow with Arizona State. Thanks, of course, to our great producers, Anthony Smith with Big 12 Studios. Thanks to Taman T. Chains Turner with Tune In. Thanks to James Wesley. I'm Ari Tepkin. Big 12 Today is back tomorrow. But for now, we're out. Peace.